Okay, just gonna go in. Let's see. Okay, let's go in and test stream health, stream audio. See how we're doing. Stream health, stream. Okay, sounds good. All right, per usual, gonna allow a couple minutes for everybody just to kind of trickle in here. If you're watching the recording of this, you'll probably just want to fast forward about a minute. But of course, if you're watching live, you don't have that luxury. But just want a reminder, if you are watching the recorded version of this, this is the live stream podcast. We do this every Saturday on the Steam King YouTube channel. Every Saturday at about anywhere between 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 6 p.m. I would just bank on 6 p.m. but like I said, I'll post otherwise if if we're gonna be starting sooner. But every Saturday, starting between 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, this one is going to be a very interesting podcast. I'm looking forward to talking about this. This is something I've really been wanting to do a video on for a very long time. Haven't gotten around to doing it, but yeah, man. I'm going to talk about sounds. I'll talk about the sounds of sounds in model railroading, and I found some very interesting videos to use as visual aids today. So let me just get a couple things situated. Oh man, excuse me. We should be good to go. I guess we can go ahead and get it started. Just let people kind of trickle in. Can we get the camera up? What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic Saturday. It's kind of getting some things situated here. We let everybody kind of trickle in. So as I was saying, today's video, let's see, Jack, good afternoon, bro. Sam, hey Sam, what's up, bro? Yo, Sam, I gotta have you add me on my my second Facebook account, bro. I have you on my personal one, which is fine, but I want to add you on my other one as well. I don't think I have you on there yet. So today, what I want to do, I wanted to talk once again about sound, but not so much from the hypothetical, like we have the last couple of weeks, like where I would like sound to go in the hobby. More of taking a reflection at some of the highs and lows, and really the evolution of sound in model railroading, because there have been tremendous gains in model railroading in terms of the sounds that the trains have in the last, I would say, 2 decades. I became aware of sound early on in not just really the evolution of sound, but in my life. I was born in 1995. In 1998, when I was about 3 years old, is when I first started hearing the first sounds in model trains. And actually, the year I was born was the year that Railsounds was actually introduced in Lionel and Lionel trains. And really, what Railsounds would be is the basis for what we have for DCC. I believe DCC had been developed before then as well. The technology was around, but I think it was really Lionel that kind of pioneered the idea of having sounds with trains and digital command control. They were the first one to really mainstream that concept and really advertise the concept of your trains sounding real. And I actually found some really interesting footage that I haven't seen yet. I want to look at it with you guys. I came across a video clip of some old Lionel Railsounds clips that I want to go over with you guys. But really, today's stream, today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the evolution of sounds. My opinion, my favorite sound decoders, not just in HO scale, which is what I model, but just in the hobby as a whole, because I've noticed just the sheer change that we've had in this hobby in terms of sound quality, customization, all of that, things that 20 years ago you never would have thought were possible. And even though I was very young in the early development of sound, I can still vividly remember what it was like to to even observe trains that had any semblance of sound in them, and kind of how spoiled we are now with sound and sound features in our decoders. But really, how I want to start this off is I want to kind of give a bit of backstory. I think for any good story, for any good presentation, it's essential to kind of understand how we got to where we are. And because this is my, this channel kind of documents my evolution and my progress in the hobby. And it's kind of like, in some ways, I look back at my earlier content, it's kind of like an audio journal as well for me, right? To kind of go back and look at different stages of my life. But I wanted to talk about kind of why sound is so important to me. And I think why this is important to go over is on my channel, anytime I do a train review, I always say I don't focus on the physical details of the train. I more focus on the sound and the sound quality and the sound files that come from the trains. The sound has always been a huge reoccurring theme on this channel, and I don't think I've really gone into full detail as to why. As we go through and I explain the different sounds, you'll kind of understand that, but I want to give a bit of context to that when we first start going over some of these sound files. And to start us off, let me do this. To start us off, I want to start back with the beginning. So like I said, I was 3 years old when I became conscious and aware of basically model trains and sounds in model trains, right? But here's the thing, this is what people don't understand, right? When you think about, for any person that thinks about sound in model railroading, right? There's a reason why you want your trains to sound the way that you sound. Everyone has preferences. I'm going to say this to preface this. This video is not to say that I have the definitive answer to how trains should sound, but I will say this. I think that sound needs to be, I think sound really needs to be appreciated more than we do in the hobby to a certain degree, because I feel like some people's attitude towards sound is that it's just a secondary gimmick that really has no bearing on the overall presentation of the train. And I think that that's an egregious misrepresentation of what sound actually is, and what sound does for your models. Really what we're going to be doing is, as I'm going through, like I said, the history of these sound files and kind of what I've seen in my lifetime, I want to also go over, why it is that I pick the sounds or I look at sounds the way that I do. And like I said, this isn't the definitive way. The way I look at sound is not the most prototypical way. But this is just the way my brain kind of processes sound files and how I enjoy playing with sounds on trains. And I'm going to preface it with this as well. When I listen to sound, or when I think about adding sound to a train, right, I do so not because I have an idea of what that train actually sounded like. I look at the train and think about what would it sound like? What did, like, depending on the size of the engine, right? How do I think this train would sound? Because here's the thing. With diesel locomotives, it's pretty easy. It's pretty obvious, especially if you're doing modern diesels, because there's accurate representation of that anywhere, right? This channel is steam focused, and although I will be talking about diesels, the slant that I have within the context of this sound conversation is steam. And I think when it comes to steam locomotives, there's more variety, and the sounds have to be a bit more particular, especially depending on what kind of steam locomotive you're trying to program, right? And there's also a huge learning curve when it comes to sound as well. But when I look at sound, because I will admit I'm not, and I've admitted this before on the channel, I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to steam locomotives in general. Like I have a certain amount of knowledge. I have a fair amount of knowledge, but a lot too, compared to a lot of you guys, you folks know like the particular whistle types and specific physical details on the engines, and details that are only available in certain locomotives in certain different parts of the country. My knowledge is not as expansive is that. My knowledge is somewhat limited, and I'm constantly learning and growing. And if you go back to the earliest videos on my channel to where I am now, you'll see the growth in that evolution, that progression of sound. The progression of my learning. It's a constant, as long as you're in this hobby, it's a constant journey when it comes to learning. And the way that I look and choose my sounds has changed over the years because of my understanding of steam locomotives. Certain things I used to be very picky on, certain things I'm not so picky on anymore. But anyway, that's kind of a really long-winded introduction. Let's start looking at some of these sounds. Before I do, we got 7 viewers in here. Let me see who's in the chat real quick. Barn full of trains. What's going on, man? Acer Wolf. Hello, sir. Gundam Throne. Always want to call him Gundam Throne. What's up, man? Glad you're here. He said, I just see Acer said he just uploaded a video on the ATSF. Sound is personal preference, but it should be appreciated more. Absolutely. Person just hated when dealing with specific decoders, starting with E. Yeah, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna talk about we're gonna also talk about some of the taboos in sound as well. But okay, so to get this started off, so when I was 3 years old, the first really introduction I had to trains that I can remember, this is like my earliest memories. I had messed with trains before this, but at 3 years old, it was at 2, I think, is when I started getting, like, we found out that I had a love for trains, but it was 3 when it was really cemented, and that was because of the series on the History Channel called Trains Unlimited. And to this day, I still have a recording, VHS recordings of, it was a 6-episode marathon that they had on Trains Unlimited. And the first episode on that tape, the first video on that tape is steam trains. The second episode was Santa Fe. I think the last episode on it was about model trains, but really those there were like 3 or 4 in between, but those 3 are the main ones that stick out to me. And the one on model trains really was heavily focused on Lionel, and I know for a fact that's why I love Lionel so much. But the first episode being steam trains, it kind of, I'm not going to even say kind of, it definitely left an impression on my mind. And this is that episode. And I want to play a small clip from that because this is very important. Also, if anyone can find me the soundtrack to the show, I would really appreciate that. I want to use this. I want to use that theme song as my theme song. That theme song goes hard.
A long time ago, before diesels pulled America's trains, a different kind of locomotive ruled the rails.
Man, just look at that, bro. Like, okay, I'm sorry. Just hold on.
They hissed, they rumbled, and they roared.
So first of all, the gentleman that's narrating, I forget his voice, but that man, first of all, this gentleman narrated my childhood. Like, he was in a lot of cartoons growing up, like Justice League, and he'd been on Family Guy and a lot of other shows I watched when I was older. But like, his narration was just absolutely fantastic. But he's got such he's just got such a iconic voice. It just gets cemented in your mind, right? The dialogue that's written, right? The descriptive dialogue is just profound, but not to mention that coupled with the amazing editing and the camera work, bro, on this is just phenomenal. Like, growing up, now that I'm older and I can appreciate, like, I've spent time studying film and been a writer and just done voice acting, like, the production of Trains Unlimited, when you look back at it, is just fantastic. And I've never seen another series that has the level of production, like, and attention to detail that this series does. Like, the music, everything, just fantastic. But that first really 20 seconds that I just showed you of this episode, right? Imagine being 3 years old and watching that. That can't help but leave an impression on you. Right. And I know it's also because of the fact that my grandfather was from this time period. He would always tell me stories about steam trains as well. And so when he's looking at it, we're watching it together and we're just like, he's remembering what the trains sound like. And I'm now, it's almost like a time machine. Like, you're looking into a glass window, peering into the past, like really absorbing and looking at kind of like in essence, like an aspect of your parental figure's life. It's just phenomenal.
A long time ago, before diesels pulled America's trains, a different kind of locomotive ruled the rails. They
just
hissed, they
I love
rumbled,
that
and they
chuff, man.
roared.
Just
They belched smoke and spewed clouds of white mist. And if you stood next to one and felt the warmth of its boiler and heard its mysterious sounds, you would swear it was alive.
Are you fucking bro? Look at me. Guys, look at me for a minute, okay? Look at me, all right? You're trying to tell me, okay? And if anyone ever wants to know why I love Steam Trains, that's why. That first 30 seconds of Trains Unlimited, the Steam Trains episode, that is why. That is the reason why this channel is the Steam King. That is the reason why I love Steam Trains. That first 30 seconds fully encompasses beautifully who I don't know who wrote that, but whoever wrote that script and then got this gentleman to, I really wish I could remember his name because he's an awesome voice actor. But whoever not just wrote the script, but combined that with his voice and then the editing, even, let me go back here. Just the way he's talking about the white plumes of steam, and then it transitions from a white plume of steam into the cab, and then now he's talking about the train being alive, and then you've got the fireman shoveling coal into the fire, bro.
And felt the warmth of its boiler
Come
and
on.
heard its mysterious sounds, you would swear it was alive.
And then it fades. The whistle, not only does the whistle fade out, the scene transitions, and then it starts them on this journey into talking about the overall narrative and understanding of steam trains and where steam power came from. I'm not gonna obviously play the whole episode, but man, dude, just phenomenal. Okay, so, but that's why I love Steam Trains, and like I said, that clip right there, it just really, anytime I think of trains, this is what comes to my mind. That whistle that engine had, just the chuffing, all that, the fireman shoveling the coal into the firebox, all of it, and then the narration, all of that plays a role. And so this is, once again, this is all going to tie into sound decoders, right? But there's a reason why I'm bringing this up, because people, it was said earlier in chat that sound is subjective, right? Your sound preferences are subjective, and yes, that is true. And I guess what I'm doing is I'm giving you my reason subjectively why I look at sound the way that I do. So this is giving you the backstory as to kind of, you're peeking into how my brain works, right? So when I'm programming a train, or when I'm choosing sound for a train, right, there are certain things I like. So I don't listen to just the whistle. I have to hear the chuff. The chuff has to sound good. It has to be appropriate for the train that I'm looking at. The whistle has to fit. You can't have like a hooter whistle or one of them really old American 440 whistles on something like a big boy. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. That's once again one of the reasons why I never chose the Trix big boy and waited till I could get an MTH, because the whistle just didn't work. The idling sounds have to sound right. It has to sound alive, like in this narration. And it just, when the train gets going, like it has to give off, I don't know how to say it other than it has to give off a really good solid rhythm.
Time ago, before diesels pulled
this
America's
did.
trains, a different kind of locomotive ruled the rails.
The train has to sound like it's working. It has to sound like a steam engine. That's really, and I know that might not be the best explanation, but that's like the best way I can think to describe it, right? So that's kind of how I think of sound. And so if you've ever watched Trains Unlimited, they've got tons of clips, different audio files of different trains running around, different steam locomotives and everything. And those, remember, this is my first introduction to hearing steam locomotives. So I'm as a kid growing up, I never knew, not until after a couple years after I was at the train club, did I start paying attention to like what types of trains had like what kind of whistles, right? And that's important, but you have to understand, right? Like back in the 90s, right? We you couldn't go down to your local hobby store and buy a sound decoder and just pop it in, right? It was all kind of just like you just went with what was available, and what was available at the time, at least in terms of trains that had sound, was Lionel, right? And Lionel's Railsounds. That was really the start of my introduction into sound, into model trains with sounds. And so I've got this tab over here. I'm gonna show you guys. I've never watched this video clip. We're going to watch this together for the first time, and I'm going to kind of give my thoughts on it. But I watched like the first 30 seconds of it. But the Trains Limited, the other episode that they had, like I was saying, was the episode on model trains. And I remember at the end of the video, they had at the time the current Lionel models, and I think maybe a couple of MTH models, and they were running around. They had the rail sounds in them, and I'm like, wow, that at the time, and remember, this is like the late 90s. It's like, wow, that sounds like a real train, because that was the blueprint. That was all we had, and that was this, right? And this is rail sounds too. So this is a little bit better. And see, like that, right? Just that short little blast that you can get out of the whistle, like that's neat. Like not every sound decoder can do that. Not every sound profile can do that. There are tons of sound decoders out there on the market now, like the Digitrax decoders. You can't do that. But it just, I don't know. Even looking back at some of these older sounds, like this sounds good, especially for the time, like late night. This sounds really good. You got a little bit of wheel slip in there too, because they're on like a 4%. They're starting on a 4% grade. Whoever designed this layout, I don't know what you were thinking, but sweet Lord, let's calm down. That's one thing I had to learn how to do too, is not blow the whistle when the train's passing the camera. Like just don't do that. This is about where I stopped the video before. So I want to point out a couple of things here. So back then, we weren't thinking about 4 chuffs per revolution. We weren't thinking about like how prototypical the whistles were. It was all just about giving trains, like putting sound in trains. Like the fact that you could take real train sounds and put them in a model was impressive. Like you weren't playing with a tape recorder, right? Playing sounds from a train that you record on a tape recorder and sitting next to your track anymore. No, this is sound actually coming from the train, and you have the ability to control it. Wow, I got stuck there. Need some bullfrogs now on that sucker. And like I said, I think this sounds good. Now, does it live up to today's standards? No. But I think it's important to remember where we came from. In the train, also let me say this too, in the Trains Unlimited episode, they were interviewing, I think it was the president of Lionel at the time, but he was talking about how they would go out into a rail yard and record the actual sounds of the real trains, and then they would put them into really the decoders in the engines and give people the ability to play them back. That was groundbreaking at the time. And as someone who grew up with HO trains, the reason why I wanted O scale so much is because I wanted to have sounds in my trains. I never thought that you could have an HO scale until I was about until I was 14. I didn't know for sure if you could actually have sound in HO trains. And remember, I was 14, so I was 14 in 2009. So Tsunami was a thing. Tsunami was a thing back then. I just was unaware of it. So I always find these old trains kind of interesting, because it's like you got 1 chuff per revolution, 1 puff out of the smokestack per revolution. but the chuffs sound decent. Of course, the sound quality is not the best, but I will say this: a lot of those old Lionel decoders, they had really good whistles, like really, really good whistles. Go, Sam. Yeah, they do sound nice, don't they? Even this Railsounds 2-8, this sounds really nice. That would pass. That sounds really nice. Like, that sounds really nice. And remember, guys, this is probably 1998, 1999 when they filmed this. I think, and you can kind of hear it. There's a really kind of crazy audio loop there. Like you can hear the audio file looping itself over and over again with the diesel RPMs. Like it's not as smooth as current gen sound files, but once again, the technology was so new, they were kind of learning the process. But I still think that this sounds really nice. This sounds somewhat, this sounds a little bit nicer than some sound decoders in the HO market, and I think that's to do partially with the type of the size of the speaker. Like, you're working with bigger speakers here. But this sounds really good. That's the thing. Lionel was back in the day, they were so far ahead of everybody else in terms of their like attention to detail and like them pushing forward technology. That's why Lionel has stayed around for so long. Like they continue to innovate in the hobby. They're always the first to do something new. You can hear the sound looping. And so this is another thing, and I'm going to talk about this more as we get further down the road into like sound files, right? But it seems to me with a lot of the newer sound files that Lionel in particular has, is that like their sounds, how do I say this? The sound quality is really good, but like some of their whistles and horns, they lack, how do I say this? They lack like that they lack that organic sound that a lot of these sound files had. Like there's some other Lionel whistles, like on their old Hudson that they had, just sound like really good whistles. Like I wonder where this is what I want to know. I wonder where all the manufacturers get their sound files from, because there's so many whistles that are exclusive to just like O scale, and so it's just like, did they manufacture these on their own and like did they get like the sound of like one whistle and then like have a master engineer, audio engineer, like edit it, or is this like an actual whistle that they found at the time, recorded it, and then maybe that whistle's lost and no one has ever been able to get it back? Because like I said, some of the sound files I've only heard in Lionel engines. And I know, and here's the other thing too, I know that for certain sound files, they'll bleed over from O scale to HO, and I don't mean like Proto-sound, right? Like MTH's Proto-sound, like them having Proto-sound or Proto-sound 3, and then just shrinking the engines down and making an HO scale version of like an O scale engine, putting the same sounds in it. No, there are like for instance QSI was doing sound. QSI was doing sound for MTH for a while, and we're putting their sounds in, and then those got carried over, of course, into the decoders in HO, and so those sound files, that sound library got carried over. But I'm just wondering, like with MTH's sound library and Lionel's sound library, where are they getting those sounds from, and why are some of those sounds like, why have I never heard them, or like another recording of that same whistle in newer decoders? But if I can give you an example later on, I will. The chuffs in the Lionel engine sound a bit like QSI. I'm gonna have to go back and play those again. Under their own, because a lot of companies make the sound files while changing the pitch to make the others. Yeah, see, that's what I was wondering about too. I was wondering if that's how they were going about doing it. Okay, let's fast forward a little bit. Did they put a different sound file? Okay, so I'm gonna say this about those chuffs. These actually sound better. Those sound better than QSI's sound files. And let me show you what I mean. So this is actually a good place to transition over to maybe some HO sounds. QSI sound decoder. Let me show y'all. Actually, I know the perfect example. Hold on. BLI Paragon Hudson. The OG Paragon Hudson, not the Paragon 2. Oh, hey, look, it's me. I'm talking about the OG Paragon Hudson. Oh, hey, look, it's me again. Oh, actually, oh yeah. I did have a video of that, didn't I? Huh. I forgot I owned this. Okay. All right, calm down, me. I'm not doing that. But like those chuffs, these sound deeper. So yeah, I don't know why is this kid peering into my soul. What was that? The ones at the beginning? It's the same chuff file. I hear what you're hearing. But and you know what, I think maybe QSI did get some of Lionel's sound files, now that I'm thinking, but I know that when Lionel did their first two HO models, which were the Challenger and the Turbine, they had QSI decoders in them. So Lionel and QSI did have a decent relationship. But it was really MTH that used QSI for like their first run of Proto-sound locomotives. But QSI was one of the first decoders that we had in HO, and really it was, I guess you could say, it was taking those O scale sounds and putting them into HO. But here's the crazy part. By this point in time, the sounds in O scale had improved so much, this seems so out of date. Because you're right. Oh my god, look at my camera quality. And that's a cool whistle, don't get me wrong, but like I said, like this is up to par with like these old Railsounds sound files. Like you said, they do sound very similar, probably because some of the files were shared. The pitches, it's going to sound a little different, of course, because of the size of the speaker, and it's possible they could have changed the pitch as well to make the sound file different. Yeah, actually, the more I hear it, it does kind of sound like QSI. The bell and the whistle are totally different, but I think that's this though. This sounds better than a Digitrax Steam decoder. Sounds way better. But yeah, so that's where we started, right? So in the 90s, we started with Legacy, and then going over to HO, we had QSI. And then here's the thing. The same time that we were messing with QSI decoders in HO scale, Railsounds had kind of they had improved. I think it was like 4. We were at like 4 or 5.0 by 2009. Chill, bro. Actually, am I gonna get a copyright strike? I'm gonna mute that real quick. I don't get a copyright strike. So this engine right here, this is a Trainmaster Command Control Mikado, okay? And the sound file that's in this one, I never was a big fan of it. And this is gonna highlight something that I was talking about earlier with Lionel Sounds, which is that their sounds on some of the newer sound files, they don't sound as good as the old ones, but they don't sound organic. They sound like they were generated by a computer, right? Now the chuffs are good. But listen to this whistle. What is that? That sounds like a horn. Oh wait, no, this is a Legacy. Excuse me, this is a Legacy Mikado. That's really bad. So, okay, I thought this was Trainmaster Command Control, but the point still stands because that whistle file will still, I've heard it before in an old Trainmaster Command Control Railsounds 2 or Railsounds 3 Mikado. It was actually a set that they offered at the time, and I'm not gonna be able to find like every single sound file of every engine, but this just illustrates the point. That doesn't sound like the chuffs sound good, but that whistle, in my opinion, does not sound as good as this. Like, I'm trying to play the whistle again. You hear how organic that sounds? Like that whistle just sounds organic. So I don't know how we went from that to this. That makes, to me, that makes no sense, but I digress. Let me go look at some of your guys' comments real quick and see what y'all are talking about in here. Y'all are popping off in chat. Yeah, Gun to Throne said another big part is the speaker. Let me see. Yes, the speaker is definitely important. Another thing is look up the QSI Titan decoders. Yeah, so I will get into QSI Titan in a moment because QSI Titans are fantastic. That chuff though. It'd be a weird whistle. The Alton head, I do think it sounds bad, but it could be accurate. I don't know. So here's the thing. I've never heard a steam locomotive my entire life sound like have a whistle. I know the steam locomotives have had horns, but I've never heard a whistle sound like a horn. Like this, on this engine right here, that whistle sounds more like a horn. It does not sound like a whistle at all. It does not sound like a steam whistle. But and it also could be the way they rendered the sound file, like maybe the way that they I don't know, processed the sound was just off. and it just came out sounding that way. So it took away that organic quality away from the whistle. But it really, what it sounds like is that they're using an older sound file from like Railsounds 3 and put it in here, right? There's another thing I want to point out to you guys too, right? So when I was 10 years old, one of the breakthroughs in sound technology was when Lionel came out with it was the Lion Master. I believe it was the Lion Master Big Boy. Not Lion Chief Plus. This sucker is... Yep, this is it.
Hi guys, it's Matt, and today I'm going to be reviewing...
I forgot about this guy's YouTube channel, bro. I used to watch him all the time. He had a bunch of... This kid had a bunch of awesome engines.
...and running Lionel's new Semi-Vision Lion Master Union Pacific Big Boy number 4011.
Okay, we don't need a full review. We just want to go over the sounds. Where am I at here? Dude, are you gonna run this?
The applied stuff.
Bruh.
With the review of the Lion Master 4011, which is hiding back there, but
Oh, so we're just not gonna run the engine? We're just not doing that. And what? I used to watch you. This is what we were doing. Oh wait. Oh. Wait. This might. There's so many sound files that I want to go over. Like I wanted to be more prepared and have like all the videos ready to go, but you can't do it. There's just too many sound files. I have to go off of memory of like what trains came out when. So
Hi Lionel collectors. Today we're going to be talking about...
Okay, so this is perfect because these... So this would have been 2010. So yeah, in 2010, these were the two big boys that came out. There was the Lion Master, and then there was the Joshua Lionel Cowan version. And I believe, if I remember correctly, they have two different sound files. But these were a step up. So oh god, I'm getting ahead of myself. So that Mikado that we just listened to, the reason why I showed that was because I thought it was Train Master Command Control. It turns out it was Legacy. I'm kind of surprised. Anyway, it still highlights the same point. That was a TMCC, an old sound file in a newer engine. Okay, gonna put that out there. And we also listened to the old Railsounds. Okay, the original Railsound sound files. These stepped up the quality like dramatically.
4006. We see the cow.
Hang on a second. We're not listen. But I want to know. He should show it on this video if I remember correctly. Are we just not running trains? Is this what we do? We just don't run trains in videos anymore? See what I'm saying, guys? Everybody wants to talk about the detail. And look, that's great. I'm real happy for everybody. But like, I want to know what these trains sound like. Oh, hey, look, it's me. Bro, this is not good. Hold on. I'm really trying to find. Let me see here. Legacy Lion Master. I'm gonna do this because I know he had like a few videos on his channel of this. Here we go. 2011.
starting up this run video, we're gonna start the engine up,
And
I'm gonna show you.
Roger that. Union Pacific 4011, I read you. Please start her up and stand by for track orders. Acknowledged. 4011 out.
And right now we'll kick the smoke effects in. So we'll let that heat up. So while that's heating up, I'll play the water injector sound here.
No.
You can see engines. All you can do is hit the blow down and to go.
Dude, hit the whistle.
Doesn't necessarily work.
Oh. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it works when it's in out. So I'm gonna lower the.
Okay, here we
Alright,
go.
so now what I'll do is I'll show you the whistle effect.
So pretty good, right? It's an improvement. We came from this. We started here. Why is it that it never plays? Here we go. Sound quality is better. Still sounds organic, right? And I'm gonna throw this in there too. So at this point, Lionel adds the smoking whistle, and they also throw in the concept of quilling, which never really been done before. The closest thing we had to quilling was Doppler effect in the QSI decoders, but no one was doing quilling whistles in any scale. Lionel kind of just threw that in there. And when I remember when Legacy came out, when the Legacy controller came out, that was one of the huge selling points for the Legacy controllers, that you could quill the whistle on all Legacy engines. So let's see if we can hear some of these chuffs.
Hey, that looks good, dog.
Anyway, you get the point. Lionel had really good sound files. And so at the time, when you're paying attention to not just HO, but O scale, right? You're understanding the difference. You're hearing the difference in the quality of sound. And it's not just because of the size of the speaker, because as we'll point out later on, I think HO is getting to a point where it's surpassing O scale in terms of sound. Like it's weird because like it's almost like the roles have been reversed. But remember, this is 2011. Okay, so we're in 2011 right now, right? So 2000, 2010, 2011, 2012, like that pocket of time, you're paying attention to just all the different sounds that you're hearing in O scale. But then you go over to HO, and HO seems kind of lackluster because we're still messing with this. So like we're behind about a decade and a half, about 15 years in terms of sound quality. With now, some people are going to argue, okay, what about Tsunami? Okay, and this is where I'm going to give Tsunami its props, right? Because as much as I tend to rag on Tsunami on this channel, Tsunami does have some really neat sound files. Where is it? My first few. Hold on. I was doing some goofy crap here.
I'm doing something a little bit different.
Wow, bro. Oh my god. Guys, don't watch my old content, okay? Please. You know what? Actually, we're not looking at that video. That video is horrible. This one. That's good.
What doesn't work?
So this is 2012.
So yeah, I'm running the train my throttle now. Thanks, subscribers out there. Check this out.
Young
now
Steam
running
King.
the train with the cellular device. Freaking awesome.
I hate old me. Don't look at these videos, right?
Thanks to Steven. Say hello, Steven.
Oh god, man.
So yeah, I'm running the train.
But we're here for sound. So Tsunami at the time was like the king of sound. I remember this, everybody was putting Tsunami in everything. And I believe at that time, so let me think back. So anytime you bought like an Adler model or a Bachman model, or really just basically any model, just about any model in HO outside of a Broadway Limited, you were getting Tsunami sound. And you have the option to choose between 3 whistles, which was neat. And that's where I'm going to give HO a leg up over O scale, is that we at least have, even though the sound quality wasn't better, we had the option to at least choose what sound files we wanted in our trains and have more customizable options over what we could do with those sounds. Or we could change the ring rate of the bell. We can change, in some decoders, you could change the pitch of the whistle. And then on top of that, we can also choose which whistle we want, which is kind of neat. But O scale, it was such a weird time, man, because like the sounds were just so, there's such a glaring difference between that Tsunami and this like Lionel Legacy Big Boy decoder, this Lionel Legacy Big Boy. And I know once again everyone's gonna say, well, it's about speaker quality. Not quite. Not quite. This is what let me say this too about Tsunami, right? Like at least with Tsunami, right? The chuffs, like here, this is why Tsunami was so good back then, right? Because when you're comparing like how QSI was to how Tsunami was, right? Tsunami, the sounds were so much more organic. The files were so, like the sound files were so much more clear. They were crisp, and they just like the overall quality, overall presentation of the sound files was just way better. Like I'm thinking, let's see if we have a Bachman 2662, right? Wow, my video is the first one that comes up. That's weird. Yep, it's from the same time period.
You like on those DDEs, but
I think this is a better video to kind of present like Tsunami sound. The rod clank, that was a cool feature. And that was the thing, like there were things that we got in HO that people in O scale didn't get, like the rod clank, right? Even kind of like the cylinder cocks, like the steam pressure being built up in the cylinders, that being let off, like those were things that we were kind of getting in HO and they weren't getting in O scale. Where the middle ground kind of was MTH, and this is why back in those days, like I was such a huge fan of MTH, because they had such a good balance. Let me see. All these videos are kind of new. This has the same sound file in it. Shut up. This will have the same sound file in it that the old one did. I know that this says 2020, but they never changed the sound file in these. MTH was really good at taking the sounds, taking the precedent that had been set in O scale and then transitioning that over into HO. I don't really think the 412-2 is the best example, because the whistle, not only is the whistle that they chose like not a great whistle for this engine, but it's not really the best quality either. I'm trying to think. all these videos are so new. This is actually a good video. Okay, perfect. That just sounds so good. The chuff sound appropriate. The whistle sounds appropriate. It says quillable whistle, but they're not quilling the whistle. The bell sounds good, but it's not a bell that's appropriate for this engine. But so let me transition a little bit and kind of focus up, because I'm just kind of throwing around a bunch of random examples, but I kind of want to bring this back into like a point, right? So we started off with legacy, or not, like, excuse me, we started off with rail sounds, right? The original rail sounds going up to the old school Lionel legacy from about a decade ago, right? And then at the same time, we're kind of looking at HO and where HO was at that time as well, right? So the way sounds were perceived initially when sound was first being put into trains in the mid to late 90s was, we just want to put sound in, something that will sound like a train, right? That was the first thing. I can see now, especially, and I've known this for a while, but kind of just even looking back at some of these old video clips, right, that it wasn't, well, by the time we got to about 2010, in between 2010 and 2012, having a train, it was starting to get to this point, but having a train just sound like a train wasn't good enough anymore, because there were so many sounds that were available now. And then HO is also giving you the option to customize sound. Now we're becoming to get spoiled, and we're getting spoiled to the point where it's just like, no, I don't want my train just to sound like a train. I want it to sound like the particular train that I'm modeling, right? People were starting to get particular about the types of whistles that the trains had, or the types of bells the trains had, or in my case, maybe even the type of chuff. And that's why now, like, you'll see the sound decoders, like, people distinction. There's a distinction between light steam, medium steam, heavy steam, like you'll hear on the wild sound decoders, because people are so picky and so particular about how they want their train to sound. I also think that's why we've now gotten to the point where there's like 65 whistles in one train. But what we've talked about over the last few weeks as well, I think we'll start to see this happening in the future, is that people will now want to be able to customize their own sounds and upload their own sound files. And that'll give you the ultimate level of customization, because then there's no end. There's no end to it. Now you can literally go out yourself, and if you know someone that works at a railway museum, you can go out to the railway museum and record the sounds for yourself, and then upload them onto your own decoders, and you create your own sound library. And that's huge. But just looking back then, like, at these trains, like I said, the way I always looked at it was not so much, I personally wasn't looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, is this the whistle that this engine had? I was looking at it from the standpoint of, well, does this whistle just fit this engine? Does it kind of just fit? And that's due to my own ignorance in railroading. Like I said, I didn't really know. The first time I became aware of it, I think, was with the Daylight, the original MTH HO Daylight. Whoop. So not the new one, but like the old one. So this is what I want to say too, right? So there's a balance. There's a balance when it comes to picking sounds for a train, because on one hand, we talked about this for the guys that buy brass, right? So if you're buying like a brass model, right, it's something that's really specific to that railroad, and it's something that's really obscure, you might be able to get a sound bite or a sound clip of that engine that you're that you're trying to buy a decoder for, right? But odds are you're with a lot of the more obscure engines, you're not necessarily going to get the exact sound file that you're looking for. You're not going to get the exact sound of that train. So you've got to kind of play around with just whistles that you think will fit or that you think will work when it comes to engines that are more obscure. For example, I just purchased, and I think this is really the reason why I'm making this video right now, but I just purchased a I think it's Overland Models. I purchased an Overland Models New York Central H10, right? I'm not gonna get the exact whistle for that engine, but for me, I don't really care anyway. Most of the time, I just want a whistle that fits. But you're not gonna get the exact whistle for that train, right? But like steam engines that still run. So, the 4449, the Santa Fe 3780, is it 81 or 84? I think it's 3781. The 1225 Berkshire or 765. Engines like that currently run, or even NNW 611, the J class, those engines that are currently running, those are the ones that people are going to be really picky, really particular about, right? And that's why I was saying that was the first time I noticed it, because when you've got video footage of locomotives that are still currently running, it's real easy to go and pick apart how you think the train should sound, because you can physically go and even touch that locomotive. Like you can still hear it, right? There's tons of video clips on the actual daylight. But like I guess, and this is the frustrating part, is like when a manufacturer will make a model of an engine that currently runs, and then they don't get the sound file for that engine, and it just doesn't make it's off. It kind of throws you off, and it turns a lot of people off from buying the model. This should be the OG MTH HO daylight. Chuffs are good. Not gonna get any whistle. Now I want to say this too, right? So when it came to O scale, I hated MTH. I used to hate MTH. I used to think that MTH was like the scum of the earth when I was younger. But when I started getting into HO, and then I found out that they took their O scale sounds and put them into HO trains, I gave them a shot, because it was like, well, on the O scale level, MTH isn't really, in my opinion, they weren't as good as Lionel. They still aren't in terms of their sounds. Now I think it's a bit closer than it used to be. But back in the day, like MTH's sounds weren't touching Lionel's. But now, right? Or well, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I hated MTH because Lionel sounds to me at the time. Remember, we're going back to 2011, 2010, even 2012. You're listening to Lionel's sound quality, and it's just blowing everything else out of the water. And then you hear, like, oh man, what would be? Let me do this. Let's go to the MTH. Can I find an MTH O scale big boy? Come on. I hate commercials so much. Okay, this is a bad example. This one sounds really good. That's not a good example. Also, this video is too recent. That's 2020. That actually sounds, yeah, the new MTH big boys, those sound really good. Those, I would argue, those are almost as good as Lionel's. Those sound really good. Aha, there we go. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, now we're comparing this to Lionel's sound. Now I know this video says 2017, but these sound files were present back in 2012, 2011, 2012. And granted, that sounds good.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen. Party to Chicago on track number 1.
We were already predicting excursion service for the big boy. Like I said, this sounds good, right? Like the chuffs are out of sync, bro. Like I can't lie, that does sound really damn good, but is it beating this though? I think, and here's the thing, I think that the difference between the two, right, is that Lionel sounds were more, once again, this sounds more organic than the MTH does. This also, like, even the idling sounds like this sounds louder, like this sounds alive. This engine, like, it has, oh shit, it has more going on, right? The MTH sounds were kind of, they're good, and once again, those are the same sounds that are used in the HO model, which is the model that I coveted for so long. And I think for HO, that's amazing. But for O scale, the bar is just so much higher.
All right, so now what we'll do is,
like on this one, the dynamo is louder. Like you can hear the air pumps, right? I'm trying to get a clip where like no one's talking.
do not add no more than 20 drops of smoke fluid into these stacks. Reason being is that way you don't bust the fan with a malfunction. Heat up the smoke interference.
But you can hear that.
Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll show you the whistle effect.
Okay, we've heard the whistle enough. But like you can hear like the dynamo's loud. You can hear the air pumps, which is, you could argue it's either the locomotive breathing or the locomotive's heartbeat. Either way, it just sounds, I don't know, it just sounds more like a steam engine. You know, these sound files, they sound more like a steam engine. But, and once again, you can chalk a lot of this up to personal preference. I know you can, but this is kind of just the way like I kind of see sound, and I've kind of seen the evolution of sound. I would still argue though that this big boy sounds better than the MTH one. Just because I think there's more you can do. How do I say this? Especially like with this whistle, right? This whistle on this engine, there's more playability with it. Like let me say this, with the MTH, the sound file, the sound preset kind of sounds, God, I don't even know really how to say this other than like the sound file on this one just kind of sounds like not intact, but like this is what you're getting. Like all you're getting is this sound file. There's no really option to play with it. But like on Lionel sounds, you can kind of play with it, kind of like you're playing with a real locomotive, just like the way you can quill the whistle and play around with like the output of the sounds, you know. But MTH not so much. And like I said, I know you can quill on MTH locomotives as well, but I would argue once again, sound quality way better on the Lionel. Let's go look at some of what y'all are talking about in the chat real quick. Well, hey, Adam's here. Yo, what's going on, man? Let's see. I still have factory Tsunami in my 2662, just swapped the speaker. Yeah, I still have my my factory Tsunami in my 2662 as well. Once again, all the sounds have a place, and it's good. Here's the thing too, even if some sounds are better than others, it's good to even have some of the cheaper sounds or some of the lower resolution sounds, because it gives you variety. And every train is not gonna sound the same. It's good to have trains sound different. So sometimes I will choose engines with older decoders because I just like the sound file in them. And even though the quality is not as great, that's okay because I might like the whistle or the bell or the chuff better in one. And it, like I said, it's good to have a good variety of sounds in your locomotives because that's how it is in real life. Not all the various of all the various steam locomotives that exist. There's going to be a good variation in sound between all of them. So, let's see here. But yeah, what are you guys talking about in chat, man? Kyle's here. What's going on, Kyle? Kind of like my green bar. The sound from the BLI is not exact, but it's pretty close, and I love it. It's too bad the decoder got shut. Yeah, I probably should have brought up Broadway Limited as well. Talking about Paragon too. Sam, I wish I could get into brass. I just can't justify it because I'm too lazy to install sound myself. Sam, Adam and I are actually we're gonna do a podcast in the future talking about getting into brass and like kind of like some of the taboos about getting into it and all that. I used to actually have the same mentality you did when it came to brass, but having your first brass model that doesn't have factory installed sound and having to put it in yourself, you're gonna notice a huge difference. You're gonna notice not just in terms of like the detail and how nice the model is, but also just like there's a, I guess you could say there's a certain pride factor that comes with having a engine that you installed the sounding yourself, and not only that, you get to choose the decoder and then you get to choose the sound file from that decoder. It doesn't come pre-done for you, and then you get to customize the lighting effects, all of that. There is something to be said for that. And honestly, decoder installation is not that hard. It's fun. I will say it's challenging, but it's fun. If you like a good challenge, if you like working with your hands, which if you're in this hobby you tend to do anyway, you're gonna really enjoy. You're gonna really enjoy like having a brass model. So Adam got me addicted to brass, but Owen Concord, I don't know if I've seen you around here before, Owen. He said, I'm all right with my MTH PS2 and 3, but some O-scale trains have the incorrect horns, whether it's the ES44AC with the P5, K5LA, or European Trax Loco with USE. But yeah, I know what you mean, man. Not so much in terms of diesels, but like there are certain like.
Today we'll be reviewing.
Chill. Like the Trix big boy, right? I don't know what they were thinking when they made this model. Like whoever put the sounds in this, like they just didn't care. Y'all hear that? But like that is one thing that's very off-putting, is when they put the wrong sounds in the right engine. Like this is a beautiful model, but the sounds are so bad. Like this engine. Why would a big boy sound like that? Why? This engine almost turned me off from ESU decoders altogether. Like I almost never wanted to touch an ESU decoder because I thought they were all going to sound like this. The chuffs were fine. And here's another thing too, and I don't want to sound like I'm completely objective in like my interpretation of sounds, right? But like for instance, when I talk about Tsunami and how I don't, Tsunami is kind of like on the bottom of the totem pole for me in terms of sound. The reason why I say certain things like that is not because Tsunami doesn't have good sound, but it's just that their sounds are kind of repetitive. Like I've heard so many different sound installs with Tsunami decoders, and they all typically sound the same. At least with a lot of the newer decoders, there seems to be some kind of variation. In terms of like the chuff or the whistles, how the whistles play. Like with Tsunami, it's like you can here's the thing about Tsunami that's frustrating. Like you can have different whistles, but they all play the same. So like the short whistle, they all stop at the same amount of time. You could time them. They're all like a minute, like a second and a minute. They're all like a second and a half long, right? On the TCS or on the not QSI, the ESU decoders, like the short whistle blast on certain whistles might be longer than on other whistles. But it seems like Tsunami, they try to like every single sound file has to fit within a certain parameter. Otherwise it can't be on the decoder, and it's weird. It's like they cut off part of the sound, which helps make the sound come out organic, right? Which helps to make it sound like like you're listening to a real train, like you're next to a real train. They cut off certain portions of the sound file to like make it fit within like the length that they want the whistle or the bell or whatever it is to go through, and it's kind of frustrating. And that's one of the things that kind of turns me off from Tsunami. But let me read a few more. Let me read a few more comments here, see what you guys are talking about. Yo, Human City Junction's in here. What's going on, man? How you doing? Let's see, Sam's in here. Will, in your opinion, what's the best steam locomotive in models? That's a fantastic question. It doesn't exist. They're all amazing. That's like picking your favorite child. Let's see. Most of this is you guys just talking to each other. Let's see. Okay, I think today's the day that I buy a brass model. Not sure what it will be, but I needed an unstable financial purchase pronto. Don't worry, Adam can definitely help you out with that. The Tsunami 2 is a huge improvement from the Tsunami 1. I use it for my brass HOSP GS4. Now, I will say this, the sound files that Tsunami has for like specific engines, so like the 4449, 765, like those sound files are really good, but they just, I don't know, they just, I still feel like there's something missing. And once again, it might be my bias, but you know what, let's go listen to some Tsunami 2 sound files, you guys. Let's see. Mr. 611's here. He says, Clint, TCS. We're getting there. We're getting to TCS. We haven't gotten that far yet. Another thing with brass is that not all are made with running in mind. Depends on the model, but most of the models that you'll find on like brass trains or the ones that Adam sells, they're built for running. They're designed to be ran. That's my issue, is finding an engine that'll work over 22-inch curves. I haven't thought about curve radius in a long time, but yeah, that is definitely a problem on higher end models. Human City Junction, I like locomotives with sound pre-installed. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with locomotives that have sound pre-installed. The majority of my collection has engines with the sound pre-installed, but it does limit your creative possibilities with the train. Like you might want it to sound completely different than it does, and you can't do anything about it because of the type of decoder that's in it, unless you want to rip it out yourself. But at that point, it's just like we might as well just get a DCC ready model or a brass model. That's why, like, if I'm going to buy an engine that's got the sound preloaded into it, normally it's not going to be something that I want to buy in brass, you know. With the exception of Broadway Limited. But even then with Broadway, like I'm careful about what brass I buy from Broadway, because I want to make sure the sound files that they put in that are ones that I don't already own, because I have so many Broadway engines. That's why when I made that Broadway Limited video, one of the things that they need to do is they need to create a system where people can upload or change the sound files as they wish. And just like they can basically have access to Broadway Limited sound library, can change the files at will. But I think eventually we will get to that point. I think it'll become like a standard for model railroading as a whole. Even Lionel is now starting to allow people to choose between 5 different whistles on their engines. And we're gonna get back into more of these sounds here in a second, but let's see here. Now we just need to get BLI to understand that DCC ready is a thing. Yeah, BLI would make a fantastic DCC ready model. I think if they did that, there probably would be a few more of their engines that I would buy as well. But I always get DC. It's the cheapest 99% of the time. Upgrading isn't that difficult if I choose to do that in the future. So wait, Kyle, are you having an issue finding a brass model because of the radius, the curve radius? Is that your issue? Let's see. I heard that Intermountain is going to make their 4th run of Cab Ford sometime this year. Yeah, that Intermountain Cab Ford, that's what that see, as much as the Tricks Big Boy turned me off from ESU, the Intermountain Cab Ford is what turned me on. What turned me on to ESU and made me look at them like, okay, these guys can actually make a really solid American steam decoder. Yo, what up, bro? What's going on, man? I see you out here. That's really close compared to availability. Yeah. So, here's the thing, man. Because I when it comes to sound, I could talk for a million and a half years, but I kind of want to get this a bit more focused. Because here's the thing, with a lot of the older sound files, there's a charm to the older sound files. The quality isn't the best, but it seemed like there was a lot of heart put into the files that were chosen. Some of the whistles sound really robust, really rich. I think when you get into the newer trains, what stands out in the newer trains is the what would you call them? The complement, like the background sounds, like your dynamo, your air pumps, your cylinder cocks, like all those sounds, right? Like the quality of those sounds has improved so much. And honestly, on trains that they didn't even have. We didn't have those sounds before. Like in the first video I showed, where we were looking at the Trainmaster Command Control, the Railsounds 2 files, they didn't have all those extra sounds on there. There's so much more, even like the rod clank on the engines, all of that. It's like every additional sound that they throw on there adds more to the, to the character of the overall train. But I still, and here's the thing, this is what I want to say too, because I was going to play this video. I still feel that there is something missing when it comes to sound decoders of all manufacturers. And let me try to explain what I mean. This video is by a good friend of mine, Sparky107. If you haven't subscribed to him, guys, go do so. He's a fantastic YouTuber. I really love his content. But I believe this is from a trip that he took to the UK. He was riding behind a steam locomotive. I want to play part of it. So, I don't know if this is going to highlight what I mean. But like, so when you're hearing, there's certain sounds, right? When you're listening to like an actual steam locomotive, when you're behind or next to a real steam locomotive, that like, I don't feel like the decoder companies are really paying attention to. Like there's another level of depth that can be added to the sounds. And Broadway Limited tried. They tried with Rolling Thunder, but all Rolling Thunder did was it made the sound files that we already had louder, and you're getting the bass from the subwoofer, so you can kind of feel the sound when you're next to your model, and that's cool. That is cool. But guys, I'm trying to figure out how to say this, because these are things that like you think about, but it's just very hard to articulate. I guess what I'm trying to say is when it comes to steam locomotives, and this is specifically centered around the chuffs, right? The chuffs sound kind of flat. I still think that chuffing sounds kind of flat in all scales. Like Lionel, it sounds good, and even in HO, it sounds really good. But there's like how do I say this? there's like not so much an echo, but there's like a wetness, I guess you could say, to the sound of a steam locomotive chuff, especially when it's in the countryside or in the hills, right? Like, you know how like there's, I guess reverb would probably be a good way to describe it. Like, you know how on the whistles, right? You can add reverb to the whistle to make it sound like really echoey, like it's going through the hills or you're hearing it up in the mountains somewhere, right? Chuffs don't have that same level of attention. You can add, and I know that on decoders you can add reverb to the sound, but it doesn't sound, I guess, as rich. And I keep using the word organic, but there's just like a certain level of detail that seems to be missing with the chuffs. And maybe it's because of the size of the decoder. Like you can't truly get like the, I don't know, you can't truly get like the chuff to sound like it really does on a steam locomotive. But it's just like there's another, and I don't know if anybody in chat understands what I'm trying to say, but it just seems like when you're listening to it, like you listen to an actual recording of a steam locomotive, and then you're hearing the recording of a locomotive on your train, there's a certain level of depth to the chuff sound that just does not exist. I don't think 81's developed like the perfect chuff yet. Like a lot of them still sound electronic. Like even on Lionel's newer engines, like the chuffs, like they sound good. They sound deep. They sound real. Like the chuffs sound real, but I don't know, it's just lacking something. And maybe you guys can help me pinpoint what I'm trying to say, but there's a level of depth that is just lacking. Like even on Lionel's newer stuff, like it sounds kind of I guess the best word is digitized. Like the new decoders sound digitized. Like so like this is Lionel's mallet, right? You know what? I think I know what it is. Also, this gentleman, his layout, this guy's YouTube channel, his name is Patrick H. He changed his name on YouTube to famous-Amos 3:7, but he has one of the most fantastical scale layouts I've seen. I love his videos. And that, like I said, that sounds good. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. Like there's like the sounds are bad. Like the chuffs are really good, but it's just missing something. I think, and this is what I think it is. I think it's that when you're listening to like this, right? Let me go back. Like I guess it's because there's a lot of other stuff going on, not like with the chuff. So maybe it's not necessarily even so much like the sound quality of the chuff itself, but when you're listening to an actual train, like you're hearing so many other pieces clank and squeal and screech while the train is moving. I feel like when the train is neutral, right, when the train is idle, the steam locomotive is just sitting there, like you hear all the idling sounds. You got the steam pumps or the air pumps, the dynamo, steam hissing, all of that. But when the train gets up to speed, those sounds kind of fade away into the background. And I don't think there's enough of those sounds that are present while the train is in operation, because the only thing you can really hear are the chuffs, the whistle, and the bell. And that's not what it's like when you're hearing an actual steam engine, especially up to speed. I think what the manufacturers need to start doing is they need to start like getting a lot of the other like idle sounds, like the other I don't think it's the right word, but the auxiliary sounds, like just the complementary sounds of the locomotive, right? Things that change based upon the movement of the engine, right? Certain pieces or parts that might clank or squeal or drip or whatever, you should be able to hear that stuff while your train is getting up to speed. And the fluctuation of the not the pitch, but like the frequency or the, yeah, really, I guess the frequency. So the amount of times you hear a certain sound, or the amount of, the frequency of the sound should be changed. The amount of times you hear a certain sound, so the air pumps aren't gonna sound the same as an engine, an engine. God, I can't talk today. I'm sorry, you guys. The air pumps aren't gonna sound the same as when an engine's idle as when it's getting up to speed, right? The engine's doing more work. So as the steam engine is doing more work, the sounds of the train should change, all the sounds. And we get a little bit of that with rod clink, and rod clink is one sound, but there's just so much more that I feel like is not being played. And still, I think the chuffs could be improved because they do sound digitized. they still do sound digitized, but we're getting there. I think the sounds are getting there. I hope that makes sense. I really do. This is the first time I'm really trying to articulate this to other people, and like really go in depth with like how I kind of think about like sound. But hey, Kyle, have a good night, man. How's it breakfast time for someone and then it's dinner time for another one? Wait, do you guys have on the other side? Hey, Will, we have people from all around, bro. And also, you can have breakfast for dinner. There's nothing wrong with breakfast for dinner. The Arctic Gaming, yeah, that still sounds pretty weak. It doesn't sound like a Malay at all. It's okay, but it's still electronic. Clint, to me, the chuff is the best on the TCS WoW sound. That's just me. I actually went to see Patrick's layout back in 2014, but he sadly tore everything down after someone messed with it. Wait, what? So that's why he doesn't post videos? So Patrick tore the train layout down? I've seen some custom lock sound builds and they're pretty good, even in N scale, but they're still the exception, not the rule. TCS is honestly the best sound for Steam. Can't wait to get my J back. So, all right, since we're on the topic, let's talk about modern sounds, okay? And there's one gentleman who I really want to pay attention to because he does a phenomenal job on his YouTube videos. This guy right here, Performance Locomotives Incorporated. I think he used to be Rodimus. Love this guy's content, man. I would really love to collab with him at some time. Like he is really knowledgeable. He knows his stuff. Let me see here. This is what I'm gonna do. Where is it? He had a really good video of, where is the engine? Where is it? You know what? I know the easiest way to find it. Excuse me. Okay. QSI Steam decoder. Yeah, this is it. Okay. Because everyone talks about WoW sound, everyone talks about ESU, but we can't sleep on QSI because QSI is amazing, especially if you do it the right way.
If I told you the best decoder is one that you've never heard of.
Bro, I love his videos. His videos are good. Yeah, he's got a QSI. So this was a QSI Titan install that he did. And man, did he, I mean, he knocked it out the freaking park, man. Listen to this. I don't know if you guys have seen this video. But if you haven't, definitely go check him out, bro. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to move my camera over here. We're going to move to this side. That way I'm not blocking the YouTubers channel names because everybody deserves credit for the videos that I'm looking at today. But Performance Locomotives Incorporated, check him out, man. Just really awesome videos. But this is the sound install that he did.
Really convinced me to do this project a number of years ago and kind of keep it secret because I wanted to ensure that I had enough supply of these decoders to do all my projects and other people weren't buying them up. So I'll go ahead and let you hear it here.
That sounds good. I haven't seen this video in a long time. This is a Broadway Limited, by the way. This is a Broadway Limited model that he took the old Paragon 2 out and put the QSI Titan in. And also, like, those idling sounds sound really good too. Like, it's this is a really good decoder.
Now, I do have the sound pumped up pretty loud on this one.
Of course
so
you do.
It probably would sound a little bit nicer if I turned it down.
No, it's fine. Don't change anything. Just keep it as is. Someone message this man and tell him I would love to do a collab.
One of the cooler features is that there's an alternate whistle.
Ooh,
So I can switch to the Banshee.
that's loud. Turn that down.
And back to my 3-chime.
That Banshee whistle sounds good too. It really does. But see, this is what I'm talking about with the future of sound decoders, because he imported these files. I think, if I remember correctly, I think he actually took a sound file that he found online, or he customized the file himself, then uploaded it to the decoder, then put it on here. If I'm remembering correctly. Go watch the full video yourself, but all I know is, I mean, worst case scenario, this is in QSI sound library. Best case scenario, he customized the sound. All I know is he did, either way, he uploaded the sound file onto the decoder. And I think there's 4 speakers in the sucker, but I could be wrong. No, there's probably at least 2. Those chefs sound good.
Yeah, whoops. Well, as you can see, it had pretty good keep alive there as I managed to roll over my manuals.
That's wild. Okay, anyway. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Guys, like, I know TCS, ESU, they're both really good. They're both really good. They are. They really are. But that's up there. That's up there with them. That's not too far. And arguably, that's better. That's better sound quality than a lot of the TCS decoders I've heard. That sucker sounds great. But I also think it comes down to how he played with the speakers, like the way that tender is designed, as well as how he has a speaker enclosure on there. He, like I said, he goes into full detail in this review, but that's just as loud as like an O scale model. And this is HO. This is an 8. Why is the quality so bad? Oh, that's the playback speed. Oh wow. But yeah, that, and once again, that's an 8. This is an HO model. This is the Broadway Limited. So I'm just saying, there are a lot of sounds. There are a lot of sound files. People have a lot of different sound libraries, files to be had. You can have 200 different trains and probably never have any of them. You never have a single one sound the same with the variety that we have. I don't like the bell on the engine. Sounds like a pirate ship or something. Bells can be changed, sir. but I feel you on that. Pensy 3 chimes, Loki, my favorite whistle. 3 chime and a Banshee. Yep. C&O 6 chime. Yep. That's also a great sounding whistle. Geez, what a duplex. That's what a duplex is supposed to sound like. This guy, man, he's got he's done some killer sound installs, just killer sound installs. The TCS issue is it's not a sound. Rephrase that, bro. What do you mean it's not a sound as others? You mean as loud as others? I don't think that's TCS. So I think that comes down to the way that the speaker is, the speaker enclosure is done. It all depends on the size of the speaker enclosure. But this, I will admit though, this is really loud, and it doesn't really have to be that loud. But I will say this too: my Lux Sound decoders are really loud as well. Those suckers are they boom. But let's see. I think he put a speaker in the engine and 2 in the tender. Yeah, Kyle, I think you're right. I think it was 1 speaker in the engine and 2 in the tender. I knew it was. I knew it couldn't be any less than 2. I knew he had at least 2 speakers in that sucker. I wanted to say 4, but I think you might be right at 3. But once again, this is just a prime example of how you can really like play with sound and make it just really do some phenomenal work with it. And like I said, the chuffs aren't the best. Like I said, there are no perfect chuffs in any scale yet. I think there's something missing when it comes to the chuffs. Everything sounds digitized or kind of flat. I do like the sound of these though. Yeah, it sounds really good. And putting a speaker in the boiler, because actually you are right. I do remember him saying that he put a speaker in the boiler. Putting a speaker in the boiler is going to make it sound better anyway. That's going to give you way better sound. So let's look at so let's go look at some TCS wow sound. And see, now I feel bad because I feel like anything we listen to after that's just not gonna come. What is this? Strasbourg 90 in HO scale. Hold on, what is this? I haven't seen this video yet. Got some newties. That's a wow sound. There's no way this is a wow sound. Maybe it is. This is where I'm gonna give wow sound points, right? Wow sound's TCS has the best bells out of anybody. No one beats TCS in bells. Those chuffs are good. It's just like the problem is when steam locomotives get up to speed, the chuffs just become so distorted, I think is the problem. And it's weird because like sometimes the chuffs sound really good and other times they sound like really tacky. And that's like the dilemma I have with like right there. That sounds good. Okay, you know what? I can tell you what it is after listening to the chuffs. Remember how earlier when we were looking at the Lionel engine from the 1995, the old sounds, right? The rails loop, 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 loop. But when you hear an actual train, there's all sorts of stuff going on, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why they sound digitized, because it just, you see what I'm saying? Like, you hear that, and then you hear this. And I guess, you know, you could argue, well, you know, you're hearing the wheels, the clack of the wheels and all that. Yeah, okay, sure. But I'm just saying, like, there's detail. There's detail in the chuff that's just not there yet. It gets flat. Once again, for what it is, it sounds good. It's a far improvement over what we had before. It does the sound, the chuff sound way better than what we had, right, a decade ago, but it's not there yet. TCS Steam Sound versus Soundtrack Tsunami. Oh, this is what we've been looking for. Hang on, we're gonna look at that in a second. Let me see what you guys are talking about over here in the comments. See what's popping over here. Let's see. No, you can turn them up and they're still not as loud as the others I've tried. But here's the thing, Gunnathron, you got to understand this too. Being loud doesn't always equate to to being the best sound. You know, like you don't have to have the train being ridiculously loud. However, I will say you have 3 speakers in that sucker. I think you are right, though, on what you're saying. Let me say this. I think you're right in what you're saying in that the TCS Wow Sound decoders are not as loud as the other ones. Like Lux Sound and that QSI one for sure are definitely louder. I think TCS is louder than Tsunami, although I have heard some really loud Tsunami. I've heard some really loud TCS, but I don't think they need to be as loud as the other ones because the sound, the quality of the sound files in TCS is really great. I think what TCS does really well is that their sounds are really organic. Like they sound, especially the bells, man. Like I don't know what it is, but like on certain engines, when you hear the bell, like it's the bell, and the bell is such an important piece. But like the bells, just they'll also sound flat, right? But TCS, it sounds like you're standing right next to the damn engine. I swear, if only someone could get the chuffs to sound like the bells in terms of quality. I just think that there needs to be more variation in how the chuffs are played. Like, you know, maybe on that 4th revolution, like the pitch of the chuff might change just depending on how the steam pressure is going through the cylinder. Like it's steam with a steam locomotive. The chuff, you can't just put the chuff sound on a loop on a 4 cadence loop and expect it to sound right. It'll sound good. You're just not gonna get the level of quality that you're looking for. Don't you think that when people send fan mail, it's kind of weird that they know your actual address? What? Yeah, it's just volume on TCS. They're not as loud as others. Chef sound effect is good, and the brake sounds are really good. TCS does a really good job with their brakes. What most decoders don't take into account is how volume and sound mixing changes at higher speed. Thank you. That's a very eloquent way of saying what I've been trying to say for the last hour. Like the Arctic Gamer, bro, you're plugged, bro. You're the best. What most decoders don't take into account is how volume and sound mixing change at higher speeds. They have one stock chuff sound and just increase the rate. They don't take into account things like the blower, dampers, blow down, driver slack sounds, etc., air compressors, dynamos, injectors. God damn it. Thank you. Finally. That's what I've been trying to say. Everyone give the Arctic Gamer a round of applause. Perfect. That is exactly what I've been trying to say this entire time. I don't have the knowledge to be able to eloquently explain it like that. But that is exactly what needed to be said. Holy crap. I think TCS is getting there, and they're getting, yeah, once again, TCS, they're still my personal preference. The decoder that I bought for this new install that I'm going to be doing is a TCS Wow Sound. I was going to do ESU, but then I forgot that with an ESU decoder, you can't, it doesn't come preloaded with the sound files. You have to have the ESU program in order to upload the sound files you want onto the decoder. So that's kind of what deterred me away, because it was going to be basically a $220 investment to get into ESU. So wasn't trying to do that yet. Maybe for the next sound install I will, but not yet. Well, you can't hear the models over others because it's an issue, especially when people turn their models out. I never had that problem. I've never had a problem where I couldn't hear. Well, no, that's not true. So let me say this: with the first run of TCS Wow Sound decoders, I did have an issue with the chuffs, being able to hear the chuffs, and the volume was really low. However, with version 4, the version 4 decoders are really loud, and they sound really good. So I think it comes down to what version of the TCS wow sound decoder you have. But yeah, if you've got, especially if you got a smaller engine within a single speaker, and you're working with the version 1 TCS wow sound, the sounds are a bit quiet. I will give you that. But like I said, I have a version 4 in my Shay. That was actually I will admit, even that one's a bit quiet. But once again, I think that comes down to speaker enclosure and also the size of the speaker, because you're not gonna get big booming sound out of a little speaker. You're not gonna, like with what we were hearing before in that QSI, he had 3 speakers in there. You can't compare an engine that's got a single cube speaker or just a single round 8 ohm speaker. That's not going to get you the same sound as someone that's got a bigger engine with a better speaker enclosure and 3 speakers inside of it. So there's a lot of factors that come into play in terms of how loud the sounds are going to be. And like I said, I've heard some TCS decoders that were really loud. So it really, there's a lot of factors that play with that, but more speakers will definitely help. So. Well, I have some time to chat later on. Probably not today, man. I'm not gonna have time to chat today. Weekend, I kind of like to, especially after the live streams, like to chill and spend time with family. But also some speakers distort audio when there's a lot going on. Yeah, that's another problem you can run into. You have to be careful with what types of speakers you're using. There's a lot of factors at play. But I want to see. Let's look at this. Let's look at this one right here. That's a wow sound. Just want to point that out. That's a wow sound decoder. That's loud. Wow. So this is HO and 3, or yeah, no, this isn't HO and 3. This is O and 3. That's really good. And here's Tsunami. Pitiful, pitiful Tsunami. Tsunami tries. You know, they try. This is so bad. Like the difference. I don't think this is fair, because he, like, the sound file that he's choosing. You know what Tsunami's chuffs remind me of? It reminds me of someone trying to rub 2 matchsticks together. Like, they're so they're just not. Tsunami's chuffs just aren't manly. Talking about maybe other YouTubers, because don't you think it's kind of weird, like, or do they talk with them through Discord and stuff? Because how would you know somebody else's address? If you share it, you know their address, I guess. I'm working on a review for Train Simulator right now, and the sound is going to be a whole subcategory, so I spend a lot of time. Maybe I'll mix it. Bro, do you play Train Sim? Can you teach me the ways of Train Simulator? Because I've been trying to get into that for a while. Yeah, this does sound like a first generation Tsunami decoder. This doesn't sound like a Tsunami 2. Bell is good. Not as good as a TCS, but it's still a good bell. Okay, let me go to let me go to a good example of Tsunami. Where is the guy? There's a guy that's on YouTube that has, you know what? Let me see. Brass, New York Central. Wow, can't even spell new. I'm such a bot. Hold on. Why am I trying to spell with one hand? Guys, forgive me. I'm sorry. This is the guy.
Stream 85 plus channels of live TV with unlimited DVR. YouTube TV. Try it free.
Your boyfriend plays video games instead of spending.
Okay. So these are the specs. Yeah, this has a Tsunami 2. This is actually the engine that I just bought. Okay, so let's look at Tsunami 2, gentlemen, and observe. This man here. So this is all brass backshot 4664. He also has fantastic content. He's always showing his latest decoder installs and brass engines. Subscribe to him as well if you get a chance. Shout out to him. He's got some really awesome content, but I'm not a big fan. I'm still not a big fan of these Tsunamis. That bell sounds really good though. You see what I'm saying about the whistles though on Tsunami? Like, you hear that, right? Oh, to me, and here's the thing about Tsunami 2, and this is what gets me about Tsunami 2. Tsunami 2 sounds like they just took the same sound files that they had before, and then they remastered them slightly, and then they just put them in the same. They put them in the same decoder. They basically made the same decoder and just remastered the sound files that they already had. This doesn't sound much better than the old Tsunami decoder. And once again, it could just be this file, because I've heard some really awesome Tsunami 2 sound installs, but this just... But is this beating a TCS? No. This isn't beating TCS's worst whistle. I like that bell though. The bell sounds really nice. Yes, that is a New York Central 282. That's a H10A, I believe. I just myself purchased one of these, but it's a bit... Okay. I hear you. That's not bad. But okay, but you're gonna hear it now. When you blow a whistle on a Tsunami decoder, doesn't it sound like they're cutting it off? It's like, oh, hurry up and stop, stop the whistle. We can't have it sounding too good, because we just can't have that on our decoders. Like it's like the whistle is trying to get going and really get like a nice quill, and then they just stop it short every time. And they do this on all their whistles. You can hear the audio looping as well. But I think that sounds here, and once again, I think it sounds good. I really do. I think it sounds good. But is it better than this? No. Was it better than even the old Lionel Legacy decoders? No, it wasn't. It's like, no, it's good. I'm not gonna even bring up TCS, right? But I do want to switch back to something else, and this is important to talk about, and here's why. First, let me tell you what it is that I want to talk about. I want to switch gears back to Lionel for a minute because I want to talk about their newer sounds. And the reason why it's important to talk about Lionel's newer sounds is because they're getting into HO. Okay, they're going to be entering the HO market, and they've already taken they've taken one of their sound files for their Polar Express train set, and they put it in an HO model, and I will be honest, I was not impressed. I expect more. If I'm being real, I expect way more out of Lionel than what I've seen so far. But they're dipping their toe into the water. I get it. It's a lower end set. And let me show you what I mean. So I've been paying attention to Lionel since I've basically been out of the womb. But Lionel HO Polar. Wow. Let me do this Polar Express. And while I'm using that as an example, let me show you what I think is like the pinnacle, like the best sounding Lionel engine out there. The Vision Line Big Boy is probably their best sounding engine that they've ever made. I remember showing my grandfather this video, and we were both blown away by how great this sounded. There's no audio looping. The sounds are completely prototypical. And it's like when you're a fan of Lionel and you know that they're capable of something of this quality, and then they come out with something of this quality, it's kind of disappointing. And I'll explain. I'll explain in a minute, and then we can compare it to some WoW sound as well. But okay, chill. These advertisements need to chill. We're gonna go to James's channel. Everybody knows who James is. Okay, James is awesome. If you don't know James, you've been living under a rock. James is great. Subscribe to James. Also, I will always say James is very helpful and encouraging for me when I was getting started on my channel as well. So I've talked to him on a couple of different occasions. James is a fantastic guy. He's always, like I said, he's always been encouraging of me and my YouTube channel and whatnot. He's a great guy, real awesome guy. So I have a lot of respect for James. Hit me up, man. I can hook you up with some great mods if you're trying to start. Yeah, bro, we need to talk train sim at some point for sure. Clint, I honestly can't wait to get my J bag. Getting TCS will be my first TCS engine. Also, my uncle's putting TCS in his G-Skill K27. That's wild, man. A G-Skill K27. That's kind of cool though. Did you see this guy's latest video? The guy has all brass back shop. There was a truck under a train. I did not see that. He does great work. I love the H10B, one of my bucket list trains. Oh, hell yeah, bro. You know, that's some good sound mixing. I have a Tsunami to my TNP 210-4. Yes, it does sound like it cuts out. Okay, to be fair, the problem with quilling is that sometimes you go too far in the other direction. It can be really annoying after a while, and then you have to hear the same 5-second loop. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like on the TCS Wild Decoders, how like there's the playable whistle, the short whistle, and then you've got the quillable whistle, and then there's like two different versions of the quillable whistle. Yeah, that can kind of be annoying. We have to keep hearing that over and over again. But Lionel HO would be a dream. So Bowser Studios, I think you're kind of new to the hobby, or this end of the higher end of the hobby. But so first of all, this is James, right? JLWI 2000. Go check him out, dude. He's got tons of content. He's a fantastic YouTuber. Everybody loves James. But he does a lot of collabs with the major model railroad companies. And then on top of that, what was the other thing you said in here? Doing the same, doesn't look great. Lionel HO. So yeah, Lionel is doing HO. They have already done an HO model, and they had a Mikado in production. I was really curious to see what sound files they're going to put in their Mikado. It seems like Lionel's just taking their Lion Chief sounds and putting them in the HO models, and that's not good enough. Lionel needs to take their Railsounds, the newest, I think it's Railsounds 6.0 we're up to. They need to take Railsound 6.0 and put it in their HO models, because Lionel's in the position that MTH is in that they need to take their premier O scale sounds and bring them into the HO market, because Lionel has some of the best, in my opinion, they have some of the best sound files. And I'm going to show you a prime example of that.
Illuminated number.
Hang on a second. Let me go over here.
To do this, we're going to use the 6-37.
So I'm going to point this out. Actually, I'm going to
You'll notice that each stack, because it's powered by a separate smoke unit, puffs in sync with its driver set. Forwardmost stack with the front drivers. Rearmost stack with the rear engine set.
So let me point this out real quick. Let me pause it. So these chuffs are good, but they sound digitized, and that's the problem that I have with Lionel's newer stuff, is that like their chuffs are really good. They're high quality chuffs, but there's a certain digital element to them that kind of takes me out of it. And all of their steam engines, they sound exactly the same. Like they sound exactly the same.
Go ahead and blow the whistle.
However, they're whistles.
Once again, another great example of smoke fluid blocking the hole.
This is just a beautiful model. I think that's probably one of Lionel's best sounding models. That one and the yeah, this one.
Look amazing, and all of this drive gear looks fantastic.
Shout out to Eric's Trains. Bruh.
Choose great taste without the waste. Brita.
The first engine that I heard that had a new sound set. So when we were coming off of, I don't even think I have the video up anymore, but those old Lionel sound files, the old Railsounds sound files, even from that big boy that I showed you earlier from Lionel, right? So when we went from that, and then we went to, can't even get myself organized here. Jeez. We went to this Berkshire. This Berkshire was really, it was the first, how do I say this? The sound file that's in this Berkshire, they stepped their game up like, God. Man, I'm so sorry. I can't talk today. They really stepped their game up with these Berkshires. So this video was in 2014, right? I think they came out around 2013 and 2014. Either way, the older big boy video that we were watching had actually it was, yeah, this one.
Okay, to start.
But you can tell between this sound file and the Berkshire sound file, there's an improvement over just not the quality of the sound, but just like how even how the whistle quills, it sounds a lot more natural. Also, the sound files seem more balanced, right? So like to come from that and then go to the Vision Line Big Boy and then the Vision Line Berkshire, right? Just fantastic sound files. That's what I expect from Lionel when I hear Express.
Comes on. Moving.
Their Polar Express, the sounds in this engine are not, especially with the like, even I would argue the Tsunami decoder sound better than this.
Or holding it longer like this. F3 turns on the sounds, which are already on. F5 are announcements, which there are a few.
Chefs aren't in sync. Once again, for young kids, this is a set for young kids, but I know a lot of adult collectors really enjoy the Polar Express. I'm trying to just
Winter scenes. Let's just say it's due to global warming or something. We'll see you next time right here on my channel. Take care.
No. 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 So you got that, right? When you're getting... Where am I? All across the world for nothing. This is what it should sound like. And you can get the trains in HO to sound like that. They're, God. HO scale, Berkshire. You know what? Actually, I'm going to leave this video up because we need this for comparison. We need this to do a comparison. Hold on. Open up a new tab. Just let that play out for a second. Ugh. I cringe every time I hear that. It sounds so digitized. Also, I picked up one of these Berkshires. They're really nice. MTH did a really great job.
We'll see you next time.
And
right
they've got that sound file. They have it. Right, for it to come out like that, and then MTH and HO, they're doing this.
Steam channel. Since our last review, the superintendent was
also shout out to the Steam channel, bro. Steam channel's great.
complete with the polling.
I love the Steam channel
and the pump shield. Let's pick up with the 765 as she gets ready to depart.
And I would argue this isn't even the best sound file that you can get in HO for the Berkshire. The TCS and even the Tsunami 765 whistle, they're fantastic sound files. But you hear this quality and compare that to, I don't know what Lionel was thinking. That just sounds so bad compared to everybody. And I love Lionel because we're used to this. So what I want, and this is going to be another video that I do later on down the road because I want to talk about like the future of Lionel and what I would like to see them do. But like Lionel, what they need to realize is that if you're going to come into HO, what we're expecting from you is to do what at least what MTH did, was to take your sound files from O scale and put them in the HO models. Because if we had a Berkshire that sounded like this,
once again, I want to.
Damn it, Eric.
I don't have.
Damn it, Eric. It just sounds so good. Once again, I think that's one of Lionel's best sound files. This one and the Vision Line Big Boy, like any, well, not any, most of the engines that they have, where they're still running today, like they're currently still in service, those sound files are really good. But this Polar Express, I'm sorry, bro. I'm just not feeling that. That hurts my soul.
Now arriving from Joliet on track number 2. Train number 20.
Once again, it's the same thing. The chuffs, they're good. Once again, I think I talked about chuffs long enough. The chuffs are good, but they're just so digitized. Let me see what some of these comments are. I don't want to keep ignoring you guys over here. I'm trying to go back and forth between the video that I'm doing and talking to chat. But I think you guys see the point of what I'm getting at here with in terms of the sound. Like Lionel, their sound they have such good sounds, such great sound files, but they dropped the ball. I really think they dropped the ball in the Polar Express. I think it could have been a lot better than it was. I think in terms of like the kind of set that they're trying to offer, I know it's really for a Christmas set for kids, something to go around the tree. I understand that. I think that's great, but there's still a fair amount of adult collectors. And then when you're coming into HO and you have competitors like Bachman and, oh God, I'm drawing a blank. Bachman and Athern, and they have these starter sets that come equipped with sound engines, and the sound quality is better, and you're really the staple of model railroading, and we know you've got the worst part is too, when we know you've got really good sound files, it just kind of feels like you're holding out. I really want to see what Lionel's going to do when they do an HO scale model, like an actual scale model, and I'm curious to see what that first engine is going to be. I swear to God, if they choose a big boy. But if Lionel does a big boy, it'll probably be the best sounding one if they use the legacy sound file. So, but these are the sound files that they put in their starter sets, their Lion Chief sets, and that's not what if you're coming into HO scale, that's not what you should be doing. Because even with our starter sets in HO, like people are so, like the sounds are so particular. There's such a higher quality. But let's see. So NWJ6 though. So Clint, I have a question. Do you think Adam could help me find a good brass engine that will work on a 22-inch curve? Yeah, bro. Definitely. Bro, Adam is a brass guru. I would contact him immediately and ask him what he would suggest. There's a lot of really awesome brass. It kind of just depends on what you're looking for, what railroad, what road name and all that, but and also how much you're willing to spend. That's another huge that's another important factor. But there are a lot of older brass models that you can buy that'll be suitable and affordable, that you'll pay about the same amount for a brass as you would a brass hybrid, sometimes even less depending on what it is. But yeah, hit up Adam. He'd be more than happy to help you out, bro. Adam's, and I always get, if I buy brass, I always buy either directly through Adam or through a suggestion of Adam. So he'll send me some. If he doesn't have it, he'll send me a link to where I can get it. So let's see here. Yo, Will, have a good night, man. Appreciate you jumping in. I'm probably really late on reading that comment, but Bowser Jr. Studios. Yeah, you're new, bro. Don't worry. If you're new, I hope this is a good place for newer people in the hobby to learn. I want to make it a comfortable environment for you too. But like all these YouTube channels that I'm going through, watch these guys, man. They've all got fantastic content. That's how I learned a lot of the information about the different types of decoders and engines and what manufacturers were offering. So these channels are amazing. Lionel's HO Mikados are also an ancient tooling of a Pacific on a 282 chassis. Yeah, what they acquired the old Mantua tooling, I believe, right? Which goes way back, like to the 80s, maybe earlier. Like it's all, like they've Lionel, but they did that so they could just get their foot in the HO market. But I really want to see what they're going to do in terms of making new models for HO. South African Garretts. Oh yeah, Garretts are sweet. I wouldn't mind owning a Garrett, a model of a Garrett or two. Let me see. Dr. Gamer, that low-key's worse than those Bachman sets with the Niagara painted up like an FEF. Yeah, the Lionel whistle is a PM 1225 file. A PM 1225 file? What do you mean? What does PM stand for? Dude, I've seen a better sound at N scale. Hold on, let me find you a video. No, I believe it. There are way better sound files in like, even if you look at Broadway Limited's skin scale engines, sound way better than that. I really wish I could get the sound quality in O scale like on the NKP Berkshire and put it in HO. One of my little homies who does videos on here, what's his channel name? I should go pull it, but he has a video of Berkshire sound install that he did, and it came out really good. Yeah, the wow sound file on the Berkshires are really sharp. Hold on, I was just trying to check for something. Hold on, I was looking for his channel, but basically everybody makes a better sounding Berkshire file, or has a better sounding Berkshire file than Lionel and HO right now. What's 2018? I think this guy needs to play around with the sounds more. He needs to balance out the audio. The whistle's not loud enough. I think the bell might be a little too loud. Maybe quiet the chuffs down too. The chuffs were super loud on this. It's probably a new install, so he's not all that worried about all that. I don't like that bell. Actually, I shouldn't say I don't like that bell, but yeah, I could be wrong. This might be the bell that's on this engine. I can't remember. I can't remember the bell that's on the nickel plate Berkshires. I don't think this is the best sounding TCS file that I've heard. I feel like there's a better. Let me see how this one sounds. This sounds a little bit better. Here's the question I have to ask myself. Does this sound better than the MTH? I think the MTH sounds better, actually. Once again, this could come down to preferences. This doesn't sound bad, but I just think the MTH sound file is better. It just sounds better. It sounds. This kind of reminds me of a Tsunami. Like it sounds like the whistle is just being cut off too soon. It's like they're trying to hurry up and blow the whistle, and that's not how it should sound to me. But I don't know, guys. That's kind of my overview of kind of like the evolution of sound files. I think we're at a really good spot with sound currently, but there's so much more room for improvement. And like I said, with Lionel, eventually when they get their act together and they decide that they want to do a really nice HO model and put their Railsounds 5.0 or 6.0, wherever the hell it is that we're at right now with Lionel's sounds, I think that they're going to knock it out the park. But they've just got to remember, hey, this is what it should, this is what their trains should sound like in HO. And because our good friend over here at Performance Locomotives, we know you can get really nice sound out of an HO model. I will say Lionel still is the best chuffs out of everybody currently. I think those chuffs sound good, but yo, Matt, you joined us, man. What's going on? Welcome. Good evening, sir. I'm looking forward to doing our stream/Zoom meeting with you. Yeah, we will get JLWI. You're missing an I, but yes. Yep, that's the man. You should check him out and also check out Eric's trains. Eric's trains is O scale. James is HO, but they've both done reviews in in multiple scales. So, PM. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I was gonna say that, but I'm lazy. It sounds like a K36 bell. That bell is from the Denver and Rio Grande narrow gauge Mikados. Also, I have a K36 or K28. Yeah, but really, it sounds like. So let me ask you guys this question here. Hang on, real quick. I just saw Sam's comment. I didn't know until just now. MTH released their new Burke decisions. Yeah, bro. They came out with a run of Burks. What was it? 5 months ago? 6 months ago? And I picked one up. Very nice model. I'm very happy with it. I actually need to get it out and actually run it. This is what I want to ask you guys. So what is your current favorite decoder or sound file, right? Like who do you think makes the best sounds overall? I think when it comes to sounds, like if we're looking at all scales, and I probably should have pulled up some G scale, but the problem with G scale is like, I don't really know, if I'm being totally honest, I don't really know much about G scale. I'm kind of focusing on HO and O scale because those are the two most prominent scales where you get to customize sound files. Anything else like N scale or S scale, it's just copy and pasting from HO or O scale. Really, G scale has unique sound files, but they're kind of, it's weird because G scale doesn't, their sound files actually aren't that great. O scale sounds better than G scale most of the time. But yeah, what are your guys' favorite sound decoders or sound files? I think for me, I want to say TCS, but ESU is just looking so good. And so are these QSI Titans, even though these are older decoders. If I could get a chance to get my hands on a QSI Titan and even the programmer for it, I would give it a shot and try it out. But he also did another, let me check something out on his channel because he had another video. I think we looked at this one last week, did we not? Of the K4 that he did. Actually, no, we wouldn't have done it last week because Adam was with us last week. Let me see something here. This engine also sounds really nice. He did a good job on this one. This was an ESU decoder. Let me back up. Hold on, I'm gonna go over here.
In there from steam locomotives, and the Pennsylvania one is actually quite good. This is probably my favorite version other than that's in the QSI, which I've used in some previous models, but QSI is a very old decoder. Doesn't have all the features that this does. This is kind of my new favorite for Pennsylvania locomotives, so let's take a listen here. This is awesome. Love that horn.
Performance locomotives. If you ever watch this video, bro, that's a whistle. Thank you. Get it right.
You don't get a sense of it on camera, but those chuffs are so loud and so clear. When this engine's rolling by, you can actually feel it vibrating through the wood itself.
So here's the thing about this video too, right? Is that, well, not this video, but of this decoder, I don't like it when manufacturers make steam decoders where the only thing you can hear are like a small wisp of steam coming out and the dynamo. When the dynamo is the loudest thing you can hear, that's a problem. Like, there needs to be more stuff going on when you're listening to a steam locomotive idle. That's just my take on it, though.
Feels amazing.
This decoder still sounds great. And these chuffs aren't bad. I actually think these chuffs sound really good. I would like to almost argue that they sound better than a couple of the sound files I've heard with the TCS WoW sounds. That's the thing, guys. Every decoder is going to have their strengths
And while it's
and
very
weaknesses.
loud, it's also very clear. There's no distortion whatsoever.
He is right about that. Those chuffs do sound really, really clear. Also, I'm using these headphones that make it sound even better. But this whistle actually sounds almost identical to the same one that he put on that other. Hold on. Hang on a second. Let me do this. QSI. I think it's because they're both Pennsylvania 3 chimes, so the whistles are going to sound similar. Let me see something here. I want to hear this one. And then there's this one.
So that.
Where were we? They're close. They both sound really, and remember, this is an MTH model. I actually have this exact model. This is an MTH model that you got the old sound out and put the new sound, put this ESU sound in. That sounds, like I said, just as good as this one. This one's just louder, but they both sound really good. Really, really good. But I don't know. Between TCS, ESU, and QSI, those three are like the three best sounding decoders to me. And like I said, we can talk about Tsunami as much. Tsunami is 4th or 5th. I think MTH would probably sound better than I still think actually MTH in my opinion sounds better than Tsunami as well. And I put MTH on 4th rung after these three. So, but what did you guys say? The sound file off the Brass S2 from BLI is sweet, but not the best. That QSI Titan is the best I've heard in HO. I would have to agree. In terms of Pennsylvania whistles, probably, yeah, that's probably the best sounding. That one and this ESU decoder, they both have awesome sound files, Pensy sound files. So, the Tuscan K4 is something I didn't know I need. Yeah, here's the weird thing about the Tuscan K4 is that no one's 100% certain on if they existed or not. The only confirmation you have is a journal entry in someone's logbook where they were watching trains go by and they claimed to have seen a Tuscan K4, and I think there's a paint sample from the Pennsylvania Railroad for the Tuscan paint, but no one's 100% certain on if the Tuscan Red K4s actually existed. I would like to think that they had at least a couple of them. If not, it's still an awesome model to have. Like I said, I can never get mine to work. I have the exact same model he does. They were dealer appreciation models. I found one on eBay and I was never able to get mine to run. I even sent it into MTH, and the guy that was trying to fix it for me, he couldn't get it to work. He put the new sound files, rewired the whole thing, and could not get mine to run. So I've had that engine for 6 or 7 years now, and I've never ran it. Never fully ran it because I never could. I never get it to run. So kind of tragic, but it is what it is. So those chuffs are good, but they sound more like a 2A or even a mogul or something, not a K4s. The 3 chimes sound different on high pressure boilers, like a T1 versus older ones like the K4L1. To explain the difference in sound, I see. Really, dude, TCS is better than ESU. TCS hands down for Steam for me. I really can't wait till I get my J back. They might have seen the Streamline K4 and been discussing that. I never read it. I believe Pensy had documentation of the paint codes, but there aren't any pictures. Yeah, all the pictures that we have are in black and white, so there's no way to tell. And then there's no video footage of them either. So they probably, to be fair, they probably didn't exist, but But it does make me wonder why there's even the hint of speculation that maybe this was an actual paint scheme. Like why would someone write that down? You know, like you think if they even had one or two of these, because it would stand out so much, you think that there would be some kind of documentation or something to preserve the fact that, yeah, we had, you know, at least one Tusken Red K4, but who knows? Maybe there's some documentation that hasn't been uncovered yet, but we've actually seen 5 Tusken K4s, but nobody could tell. They're just hiding in plain sight. That's wild. Also, Pennsylvania Railroad engines did have red on the roofs of some of the streamers, like the tender. Like, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's what I've got for you today. I hope that this was this live stream was somewhat entertaining. I want to thank everybody for the feedback that I've been getting on the streams. What I would like to do is I would like to plan a live stream with a few of you where we sit down and discuss a few topics. I've been given some suggestions. I want to do this too. Can I log in? So I want to have everybody add me on the proper Facebook page. Let me do this. Come on, Facebook. Let me see something. Let me do this. So I'm gonna have you guys add me on the right Facebook page here. I'm gonna put this in chat. Adam has returned. Anyway, guys, that's the Facebook everyone should add me on right there. That's the link. King Facebook group. Yeah, I should. You know, I really should. Yeah, actually, I was gonna make a Facebook group for us too. That's another thing I'm gonna do. But I'm gonna have. So this is what I'm thinking. So for future podcasts, right? The next one of the next topics that I want to do is now that Adam's here, it actually brought this to my attention, but I want to talk about kind of how to get into brass and the beauty of brass and the affordability of brass. Like I want to talk about brass as a whole, like getting over the stigma of brass trains. And I think with Adam, it'll be a nice podcast. Adam is so knowledgeable about brass, and because I'm a novice, I think it'll be interesting for people who are into brass to see what it's like from someone who's kind of new with it and kind of see their apprehension towards it. I know that some of you are kind of apprehensive about getting into brass. Brass does seem to only be for the true ultra high end modelers, and that's not the case. You gotta look at brass almost like you look at buying a locomotive from Broadway or MTH, not in the sense that you're going to get something that's the same quality, because brass is. I'm telling you, when you get your first brass model, you'll understand. And Adam used to tell me this all the time, and I didn't understand it until I bought my first brass piece. But I remember when I did, and I told him, like, hey, bro, you're right. Like brass, just even the way because you're using brass and it's not die cast metal, even the quality, just like the way the engine feels and the way that it looks is so different. The way the paint adheres to the boiler is totally different. It looks more like a real train when you're working with brass. So, but brass is very affordable, and like I said, all that stuff, I want to let Adam talk about that, because like I said, that's his expertise. Maybe we'll do that one next week. And then I was given some suggestions as well for topics in the future, and I want to do that with you guys. Just talking about, like, one of the suggestions was like your favorite steam locomotives. We could talk about that. I think that's a topic that could be intertwined with a few others. So like I said, we'll do a Zoom or a group call of some kind and get four or five of you on. And then I also want to interview. I want to do some podcasts where I interview more people. I enjoyed interviewing Adam. I think that went really smooth. But I want to interview. I do eventually want to interview some of the bigger channels, but we've got to do more of these podcasts to kind of to show that like I'm worth working with. I guess you can say you gotta kind of establish your brand. So I think when we're maybe 10 to 15 podcasts, and maybe I'll start reaching out to some larger YouTube channels like James's channel or maybe Eric's Trains, and kind of getting them on and asking them questions. You guys can also send me questions and to ask them as well. I think that'd be kind of neat. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. There was another topic I was thinking that we could do, another podcast we could do, but I'll think of it later. But yeah, that's kind of where I want to go with the podcast moving forward. So anyway, bro, you've been talking to me the whole time. That's still me. Like you did. I have that's my personal Facebook, and then I've got my train Facebook. So they're both my Facebook. But it's just that the other one is, I'm trying to get everybody in one place, because some people added me on the train Facebook, some people added me on my personal. I want everybody to add me on my train Facebook, and then I'll get everybody there. So, yeah, actually, God, I can't think. Cameron, we could do a live stream on Train Sim. That would be actually kind of neat. I would like to do that as well at some point in the future too. That'd be kind of cool. Brass issue is the price. Nah, bro. Gun to Throne, it's really not. That's the thing. Brass is actually not that expensive. Like when you think about what you pay for a brass hybrid or like a higher end MTH model, there are tons of brass pieces that you can get which are of even higher quality for about the same price. You just got to know how to shop. And once again, Adam is the master. He's the master of brass. Like he can really go into detail and explain how like brass is really affordable. Really, it's some stuff you will pay more for by maybe a couple $100. But the other cool thing about brass is you're gonna get what you want, and you're gonna get pieces that not everybody else has too. If you guys want, I can actually show you the model that I just purchased recently. I can pull it up on screen real quick. I just want to say also, this is Adam's fault that I purchased this. I had no intention to do this. And this is also what sparked my interest for doing this discussion today, was because I go back. I've been looking at sound decoders to install in this sucker, and but yeah, this is the model that I just purchased off of Brass Trains. I'm really looking forward to this one. This baby is beautiful, and I've wanted one of these for a long time. H10, New York Central H10A. So just a fantastic model. Thanks again, Adam. Plug. See guys, this is why you gotta contact Adam. If you're really trying to get into brass, you're trying to get your first brass piece, Adam will ease you into it and kind of show you show you the ropes and be able to answer any questions you have. There's a lot to brass, but if you're looking for someone that can kind of casually get you into it, and that someone that'll be willing to like sit down and calmly explain things to you without being a snob about it, because I'll be honest, there are a lot of guys that are in brass, and Adam will attest to this too, not to call out anybody in particular, but there are a lot of guys in brass that kind of have this snobbish stigma to them, and they're not real interested in helping out new people get into brass. But Adam's been a fantastic friend. He once again, he got me into brass. So but yeah, I'm really looking forward to this model. I did buy a TCS Wow sound decoder. I was going to get an ESU, but I think that TCS will be the way to go. And I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do the decoder install, because as you can see here, there's room for a speaker enclosure. Like they've already drilled the holes out, so I don't have to do that. But Adam's telling me to put it in the boiler. I've never done that. I'm not entirely sure how I would do that, but I can give it a shot. I'll see. I'm going to play it by ear. I'm not sure if I want to put the speaker in the boiler or the tinder, or maybe both. Maybe I'll have one in each. So Yeah, Adam, I got a bunch of ideas going through my brain, and you and I, like I said, Adam will be a reoccurring guest on these streams in the future. There's tons of topics we could talk about. He says, "Stop teasing me." Yeah, bro. This like, you know what gets me about this, and it's just it's the piping. Like, there's so many pipes and wires and lines is going all. Oh God, it's great, bro. It's such a beautiful model. God, I love it. I can't wait to put sound in and figure out which of the 65 whistles I'm gonna actually use. But it just looks so cool. It looks so great. Some older brass is cheap, but you need to work on the yeah. Some brass you do need to remotor. This one, I don't think I'm gonna remotor it. At some point in the future, I might, but I think the motor in it will be good enough for me to be just for my uses, just to be able to run it from time to time. It's not gonna be ran too much right now anyway. So. Oh yeah, Adam did have I was gonna tell you that I came across your video earlier this week with the TCS decoder, and Adam has a video of H10A with the TCS. HO brass H10A. Where is Adam's video? There it is. See, you can already see I was looking at it.
Exquisite model.
See, that's the other thing too. I want to get marker lights on mine. I just don't know how to do that. That seems really complex.
Decoder install and the works. There are 4 speakers in the local.
Also, this model is like $2,000. This is super ultra high end. This is insane.
Locomotive itself.
Mine wasn't even half that.
Which produces incredible sound. I don't believe there's a speaker in the tender at all, which I think is a good thing. You're getting the maximum sound from the engine. If there is a speaker in the tender, there may be a super bass speaker in the tender with 4 cell phone speakers in the engine itself. That actually might be the case. Unfortunately, it's been a while since I had this done. Dennis would know. Anyway, I'm just gonna show you guys all the some of the sounds.
That does sound good already.
Okay.
That's the same whistle I have on my Shay. That does sound good though. And that bell. Adam, I might steal that bell from you, bro. Adam, did this one have a cam attached to the decoder?
Let's put on the brake. Let's cut out the throttle.
That does look really good.
Brake.
Adam, at some point, I'd really like to see a video of your layout that you got there, man. And see, this is what I was saying earlier about like TCS being quiet. It all depends on how you do your speakers. It all depends on the amount of speakers, where you place them. TCS decoders can be very loud. This proves it. This HO model it's the loudest one we've heard today in terms of TCS. So this is a sound install done right. And I think I like how Adam was explaining it. And even with the other video we were looking at, right? of that Broadway Limited model. When you put the speaker in the boiler, it gives you better sound. It just gives you way better sound. So didn't know I wanted one. I need brass ASAP. Adam, you've got a lot of customers in here, bro. You need to contact everybody and make sure you get people their first brass models. Get them in the brass group too. H10A/B is definitely a bucket list. Yep. I have been trying to get one of these for, I think ever since I saw Eric Siegel's review in 2014. So it's been 7 years. I've been looking for one of these for 7 years. Adam finally got me to get one. So I actually had the money. There was another one he tried to get me on, I think a couple of years ago, but I didn't have the money for it at the time. No, I actually had some money saved up, so I was willing to spend a little bit to get the model I wanted. But yeah, I'm really excited. Mine's not this nice, but it's not too far off. The detail in mine's not too far off. So for the compressor and dynamo, oh boy, already a good start. Yeah, Adam, it really is. I had him do my TMP 210-4. Let's see, Facebook is brassbasement.com. Yeah, so yes, so anybody can find Adam at Adam's Brass Basement on Facebook, and then of course brassbasement.com is his website. So Adam, you're not stealing from my content, bro. You're fine. I'm always happy to promote your content. You've done so much for me. Just in general, man. You've been such a great friend. Like I'm always down to plug you. So if you want to be like a sponsor of these videos, I guess I'm down to plug you in the videos. So I said you're going to be on more of these as well. But Adam, I think this is showing us there seems to be a fair amount of interest in brass right now. I think we should do a brass live stream next Saturday. I think that's what I think if you've got the time. But I think that would be a really awesome podcast. The next one, how to get into brass. But this was a fun one, kind of to talk about sound today, and it's kind of how I look at sound and what I think about when I'm trying to go about, producing sound for my engine. Like I said, I would have gotten an ESU decoder, honestly, but because I have to buy additional hardware in order to program it properly, I didn't want to go through all that right now. So especially when there were other items that I needed to buy to make sure that I could do the install properly. So let me do this. Mark in my calendar so I don't miss this one. Hardy Hat. Yo, welcome, man. How you doing? Have you been here before, Hardy? I don't know if I've seen you in the chat section before. Wait, Adam, you have the ESU programmer? I want an ESU programmer for myself though. Like I'm kind of selfish. Like I know like I could send it to you and have you program it, but I kind of want to have everything in house and do it because I've been wanting to experiment with one for a long time. Oh, please don't. I'm not trying to get DMCA'd. Oh, these don't have sound decoders in them. Okay. We'll probably watch that later. This is Adam, I'm going to say this real quick too. Adam, this is probably another engine that's on my bucket list to purchase. Texas and Pacific 210-4, but in the original colors, not in the American Freedom Train colors. But that's one I definitely would like to pick up at some point. So that's on my watch list. Adam also did a video on the Glacier Park models, Big Boy. Did this have Tsunami 2 in it? So Adam, if you can't do Saturday, what day can you do? You know what? Just message me. We'll figure out a time. Because if we have to do like a Sunday stream or a Friday stream, I'm okay with that too. So if it's on a weekday, I get off work after 3 p.m. my time. So. Did I hear the intro to CW McCall? TMP 210-4 is sick.
not going to go too much further. It's all
I really wish they had to put.
my...
This is such an insane model. I wish they had to put something else in this outside of Tsunami 2. It sounds good, but...
So the only things I would have liked to see, ESU, lock sound, or...
Adam said the same thing in the video.
Or TCS WoW sound. Those are, in my opinion, still better than soundtracks.
Everything's better than soundtrack. What? All right. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna go look up real quick. So I wanted to ask you guys. Someone tell me this, because I really should know this, but I need to know what this device is called so I can buy one for when I do my decoders. What video did I see one of these in? HO brass installate, brass decoder install. I need to know what this is called so I can purchase one. If I could just remember what. Actually, hold on a second. Hang on. I'm trying to find the device. Everyone has one of these. Basically, it's a device that's got an alligator clip at the end of it, and it's on like an arm, and you can move it around, and you use it to hold your wires. So when you're soldering, you don't have to hold the wire yourself. What is that? What is that device called? I can't remember what that's called. I wish I could show you a picture of it real quick, but I can't remember. Cannot remember what video I saw that in. Maybe it was. No, it's not in this video either. It's kind of like this, but it's got an arm attached to it. I forget what that is called, but damn, I wish I could just show you guys, but I can't remember. Remember what it's called? Adam sent me a link. What do we got? Aha! Yes, this thing. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, what the fuck is that called? Someone help. I need one of those. Can I get those from Harbor Freight? I'm pretty sure I can get those from Harbor Freight, right? Oh, an adjustable helping hand. Aha. Adam. Oh, you get them on $12? I'll buy this now. Holy crap. Wait, does it come with solder? Oh, you can. Oh, wait. What is this? 10. Yeah, I should probably. 10 lead rosin core solder wire. Yeah, Adam. Well, and let's see here. All right, I'm gonna probably buy that later today. Thank you, Adam. That's okay. That's all I needed. All right, stream's over, everybody. Have a good night. No. Yeah, that's exactly what I needed. I forgot I didn't know what those were called. Adjustable helping hand. That's literally what it's called. It's called the helping hand with magnifying glass. Okay. Plug. See, guys, this is why Adam's the best. Yeah, we are friends on my train Facebook, bro. I already got you on there, so you don't have to add me. Everybody else does. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge fan of sound and model railroading. It's not to the point that it sounds real. It's more distracting than anything. I would 110,000% disagree with you, sir. As much as I respect your opinion, you're entitled to it, but the sound is definitely beyond a point where it doesn't sound real. I don't know what sound files you've heard, but there are plenty of sound. First of all, there's so many sound options in HO, and well, I was gonna say O scale as well, but really HO is where you can really get down to it. But there's tons of sound files that sound incredibly accurate, incredibly prototypical. There are a lot of models that you can get that sound almost like the real engine. Even some of the Broadway Limited engines, they have the actual sound files of the right trains. So I think sound's in a fantastic spot. Does it have room to improve? Absolutely. But I think that for where we're at now with sound, it's 10,000 times better than what it used to be. 2 decades ago. But where it is currently, it's in a fantastic spot with room for improvement. But anyway, you need to look up CNO F17 or F19. Would love to own one someday. CNO F17, huh? Let me see here. Except a couple of custom installs I've seen. The Kato GS4 by Mike Madonna, or that T1 that we looked at earlier. Most sound, especially in HO and N scale. Just yeah. What's the best sound to message? You just wondering. Anytime. That's probably like, yeah. The speaker doesn't let it sound real, like enough bass, stuff like that. Once again, man, I would still disagree with even that. Like, you know what? I'll go ahead. I know you weren't here earlier when we were talking about it, but let me play a video for you that we were all looking at earlier of one of the best sound installs that we've ever heard. When we all agreed, like, this sounds absolutely amazing, but in terms of bass, like, first of all, it depends on what sound you're talking about that's coming from the train, especially a steam engine, right? If you're talking about the chuffs, we all agreed, we were all saying earlier, there's room for improvement there. But if you're talking about like the whistles, right, the bell, those are, you've got more than enough bass to work with.
Hear it here.
Let me show you. I'm just saying, like, that does not sound like a toy to me. That's not the gimmicky. That sounds like a real train. And there's plenty of bass in that. What it comes down to is how people lay their speakers down. Yeah, that's a QSI Titan. Yeah, that's a QSI Titan in that in that engine. And once again, that sounds just as good as the new ESU lock sound decoders that we were looking at earlier too. And it's loud, there's a lot of bass in it. Once again, I guess here's the thing. I think a lot of people don't really know all the sound options that are available in HO scale, because the model railroad companies don't really do the best job in advertising them all the time. But sound has evolved, man.
Idea of how amazing ESU5 really is, especially for Steam. This is my plan on what I put into.
Yeah, neither one of those decoders sound like toys. That sounds like a real train. It's like you're right next to that sucker. And remember, you don't even get the full effect of it because we're hearing a recording over the internet. When you're in person hearing these decoders, they sound better than this. So he's like, okay, you win me. I just listen to the bad stuff. Here's another thing, man. It depends on the type of sound decoder you're listening to as well. Like, if you're listening to like Tsunami decoders or even Digitrax decoders, those don't sound as good as these do. These are like the upper and higher echelon. And people, I hate ragging on Tsunami because they do make a good decoder, but it's just not up to the standard. Because to be honest, if the only decoders that I ever heard were Tsunami sound, and even with it being Tsunami 2, if the only decoders I ever heard were Tsunami sound and like Digitrax, like the Digitrax decoders, or the MRC decoders, I would probably think that sound needs a lot of improvement. But most people don't hear these decoders because there really aren't a lot of videos of people playing with these sound files. At some point in time, I would like to do a video where I'm programming. Like I have the ESU programmer, I'm programming live, and we're able to listen to and play with some of the sounds, and like you guys can program a train with me. That would be kind of cool to do too. But see, you're more into British engines, and British engines don't have that much room for fitting speakers. Yeah, I see what you're saying. The boilers typically are smaller in the British locomotives. However, I've seen some really good sound installs from even on tank engines, like if you can get like a cell phone speaker and put it in and do like the speaker enclosure right, you could probably get it to sound really nice. So let's see. Last time I hit the like button, my screen broke. Yeah. Let's see. What am I being sent right now? Kato N-Scale GS4. Let's take a peek, you guys. See what our boy is sending us. Our good friend, the Arctic Gamer. That's an Tsunami? The bell is wrong. Sounds good, but it's just not the right. That's impressive though that this is in scale. Like, this is really impressive. That does sound like the right whistle. I mean, look, this sounded better than that Lionel model we saw earlier today, the Polar Express model. This is already beating that. This is in scale. This sounds really nice. This sounds better than some of the HO models that we heard today too. It does sound nice. That I do like that. Let's look at this other one that you sent me though. Hold on. Go back. Pull this one up. Oh, this is a lock sound decoder. N-scale Intermountain. Yeah. Sounds just like mine. And the whistle should be right too. Should be the same decoder I have in my HO model. The fact that the number boards are lit is impressive. The whistle's a little weird. It's not the same whistle I have in mine. It's amazing how these in-scale models are sounding superior to that Lionel model we looked at earlier. But yeah, he said maybe I shouldn't have hit the like button with the hammer. Yeah, the bell isn't that good, but listen to those speakers. Yeah, no, whoever installed these is doing a really good job, because that sounded louder than some of the HO models we were listening to earlier today. Yeah, Hardy Hat, man, they're really like the sound is coming a long way in model railroading, man. Like I said, these decoders, these are both Tsunami. Oh, the first one was Tsunami. The second one's Lock Sound. If you're doing European models, I would recommend get a Lock Sound decoder. They have really good sound files for their European steam locomotives. The ESU Lock Sounds, those are really, really good decoders. So, but yeah, that's kind of the stream, guys. I'm probably going to end it here. I think we've kind of rattled on long enough. Once again, I want to thank Adam for jumping in here. I want to thank all you guys for watching. This was another, I think, successful live stream. Once again, I hope I wasn't repeating myself too much or rambling. I was kind of out of it today, but I still enjoy streaming. I'm happy we did the live stream today. A good 3-hour stream. So we went over a lot of sounds. We went over the evolution of a lot of products. It's kind of good to go back and kind of see how the sound files have progressed over the years and see where we came from. I think it's important to keep that in mind. But from where we started off at the beginning of the video today to where we ended up, you know, with these new ESU, TCS, and QSI decoders, we've come a really long way in model railroading, and we've got a long way to go. I think that the chuffs could use some improvement. Bells are in a really awesome spot. Whistles are sounding fantastic. I think more sounds need to be added, and the variation of those sounds as the train increases speed. I think that needs to be played with and adjusted as well to make it sound more realistic. But overall, we're beyond toys. These are true model trains. So anyway, hey man, look, it's all good. Even if you're late, I appreciate you jumping in. Look, just do this after you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well, okay? And then you'll be notified anytime I go live. We do this every Saturday, about 5 or it's between 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays. And so next week we might be having Adam come in, the owner of the brassbasement.com. We're talking about brass trains. We might do an early stream. We might do that one on Friday or maybe Sunday on a day where he's available. But yeah, we got more live streams coming. So I want to keep these going. You guys seem to be entertained by them. You seem to be enjoying them. I'm glad you're enjoying them. I just don't want these to get boring or too repetitive, and I try not to repeat myself too much in these. So, but yeah. Hey man, I appreciate that. I'm glad you love the work that I do. So I love doing it for you guys. This is a nice little break for me every weekend as well, to be able to, you know, just chill and talk trains. So, but yeah, and then I'll add you guys on my second Facebook channel, my second Facebook page, and then I'll try to make a group for us, and then we'll kind of all coordinate together, figure out when we're available to do a live stream, and figure out what topics we want to go over as well. So. Gun to Throne, Hardy Hat, Arctic Gamer, NNW611J, all you guys, I appreciate you. Matt, everybody have a good night. I'm gonna end the stream. I will catch y'all next week. Peace, God bless. Hey, tell somebody you love them today, all right? I'll catch you later.